Chapter 200. The three great families were terrified. How could they not be terrified? Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong had managed to keep their lives, but they were seriously injured. Even if their injuries could be healed, it would leave a shadow in their hearts. They would never be able to recover from this setback, and it would be hard for them to have any great achievements. The third generation of the two families would face the danger of not having a successor. It had to be known that whether a family could prosper for a long time, other than how strong they were, a large part of it was whether they had a qualified successor. Otherwise, even if they were strong now, they couldn't guarantee they would continue to be strong. It would affect the confidence of their allies. The Luo and Ye family were heavily injured, so they didn't dare make a move against Chu Tian for now. As for the Chu family, after the Central State trial ended, Chu Xinghe was heavily injured. The netherworld flame had seeped into his meridians, and even if he wasn't completely crippled, there would still be serious repercussions. So he never appeared in front of people again. There were rumors that many of the Chu family's retainers had escaped from the Chu family. The Chu family was no different from the other three great families. Their greatest advantage was the heavenly sword, young master Chu Xinghe. If Chu Xinghe was unable to recover, it would be an even more painful blow to the Chu family. What did those hanger-ons who came to seek refuge with him hope for? It was nothing more than for Chu Xinghe to become strong in the future. When he became a marquis, he would be able to enjoy wealth. Now that Chu Xinghe had suffered a heavy setback, his light quickly dimmed. This naturally shook the confidence of his followers. They finally realized that Chu Xinghe was not a war god. He would still fail. Moreover, the higher he climbed, the harder he would fall. Chu Tian was the complete opposite. He was no longer the same as before. The 18 divine blood Yin corpses were incomparably strong, and the Ice Queen Chun Bingyu was protecting him. This kind of formation made it impossible for an assassination to succeed. Once they failed and angered Chu Tian, the consequences would be unimaginable. A madman that could cripple Shangguan Ming in front of countless people. What else couldn't he do? Not to mention the support of Yin Tian's clan, the admiration of Shun Fenghe, Chu Tian's fame, Miracle Commerce's fame, and the 6 magnetic sound towers that the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce had built for Miracle Commerce, covering all of Central State City. They had begun their explosive development, attracting countless people to join them. Meng Qingwu took this opportunity to rope in the Jing family and a large number of business families. Not only did she take the opportunity to strengthen her influence, she also provided a large number of factories for Miracle Commerce to mass-produce radios, phonographs, canned food, etc. Chu Tian's ingenious live broadcast of the decisive battle had ruthlessly dampened the arrogance of the three great families. It had also been a perfect marketing advertisement, causing Miracle Commerce's radios and phonographs to suffer a huge disaster. All of their stocks had been swept clean at a high price. In just a few days, he had accumulated hundreds of thousands of orders, and it was still growing. Just the direct sales of the radios and phonographs would bring Miracle Commerce a profit of around 100 million gold coins. Qilin Hall had recruited a large number of students, frequently releasing discs with recorded lessons, and the radio was about to open a paid channel. This was a large business that could easily bring in over 100 million gold coins. Other than that, Miracle Commerce's orders for canned food were wildly increasing. The armies and mercenaries of the Central State cities were frantically buying them, and the large companies were not willing to be outdone. This was definitely a good thing. It was an extremely long shelf life of demon beast food. It was small and could be stored well. It was a strategic reserve for the army, and it was a life-saving food for the mercenaries. To merchants, it was a gold mine. They could buy it at a low price and sell it at a high price elsewhere. Miracle Commerce's canned food was hard to find. It was almost like a luxury item. Now in some places, if the nobles could take out canned food to entertain their guests, it would be a symbol of their status. With such a popular product, how could people not go crazy for it? The various cities were not willing to buy the canned food at a high price from the merchants. All kinds of large orders were sent to Central State City, like snowflakes. The canned food quickly spread Miracle Commerce, and it also helped the phonographs and radios enter their field of vision. The threshold of miracle commerce was almost broken. The various city lords sent an endless stream of envoys, hoping that miracle commerce would build a factory in their city, a magnetic sound tower, and a broadcasting system. Miracle commerce's reputation was big, so of course it had more power. Meng Qingwu seized this chance to set a sky-high price with the various city lords and set up a trading company in each city. Meng Qingwu wanted to create the most complete sales network in Central State County and even Southern Xia. Miracle Commerce was rich and was already making money every day. Their profitability was slowly reaching the level of the four great families. So the happiest person was naturally Chu Tian. Because Chu Tian wanted to refine Saint-level pills, he had a large lack of funds. Now that he no longer had to worry about this, Miracle Commerce could freely purchase pill materials. Chu Tian took the money to do something important. He built a research laboratory in the headquarters and gave a treatment that was hard to refuse. He hired various talents and masters at a high price, recruiting several famous scholars like Yun Tianhe. A single person's strength was limited in the end. The things that Chu Tian had sent out were all very low level, so they couldn't feel it for now. When the things that Miracle Commerce research became higher and more complex, it would be something that Chu Tian could do by himself. So, it was very important to build a research laboratory ahead of time. Today, Chu Tian was in the research laboratory, summoning all the researchers. "Chairman, why are you looking for us?" In the research laboratory, there were trusted subordinates like Xiong Tianyin and Zhang Liqing, as well as top scholars like Yun Tianhe. They were all old men with white beards. Chu Tian stood in front of these scholars with a mature and cold woman following behind him. Naturally, it was the Ice Queen Chen Bingyu. Speaking of Chen Bingyu, it had to be said that Chu Tian's kidnapping plan was very successful. Now that Chen Bingyu had resigned from her position as the Central State Academy's vice principal, she was willing to become Chu Tian's bodyguard. This was because, in Chen Bingyu's opinion, even if she was a bodyguard with Chu Tian, it was better than being a vice principal. Chen Bingyu was a loner and did not have a family to take care of, unlike Yun Tianhe, who had many worries, so she left. She was this willful, and even Shen Fengho couldn't keep her. In the end, Shen Fengho could only helplessly arrange for Feng Yunhu to suspend Chen Bingyu, but she would keep her title. Chen Bingyu cultivating with Chu Tian was a good thing. After all, she was still young and had a lot of room for improvement. Chu Tian raised both his hands and feet in approval. First of all, Chen Bingyu was a great beauty. Her style was different from the young Miss Yingying, Nangong, and Kai Dai. As a man who didn't want a great beauty by their side, not to mention that Chen Bingyu was a true soul realm expert. "Everyone sit." Chu Tian waved his hand, and everyone sat down. "Our research facility has been established, but we haven't given you any tasks yet. I've called everyone here today to officially begin our research project." Everyone was shocked. What? There was a project this quickly? Chu Tian nodded. "There are 3 projects that need to be done: a short-term project, a mid-term project, and a long-term project. This short-term project is the pay to broadcast system channel project. As everyone knows, Miracle Commerce's broadcast system is improving day by day and has a strong potential for development. Pay-to-broadcast system is one of the most important business models. This technology is not complicated and can be done by ourselves. I'll give it to everyone to practice and also test your skills. The time limit is 7 days. This 7 days was too short. Everyone looked at each other in blank dismay. Yun Tianhe quickly asked, "Then what is the midterm project?" "I've named it the Magnetic Sound Communication Technology Project." Chu Tian gently clapped his hands, and Chen Bingyu quickly came out. She gave everyone a piece of information. "Everyone, look at this information first." Everyone was speechless. What kind of person was Chen Bingyu? Now that she had become Chu Tian's secretary and bodyguard, it was hard to imagine. Chen Bingyu was such a proud and elegant person, but she was actually willing to lower her head. Of course, Chu Tian was not a normal person, including Yun Tianhe. Most of the people here were famous scholars. Now that they were all sitting here and listening to this young man's lecture, how could they not be like this? Yun Tianhe looked over the information in his hand, and his body trembled. He said in a surprised voice, "This is the related data on the magnetic sound tower." Everyone was shocked. The magnetic sound tower was an important thing. The potential of the radio had been revealed. This was something that would change history and change people's habits. Other than selling the radio for profit, there were also a few pay-to-broadcast system channels that would become a money tree. The most confidential core thing. Chu Tian was actually taking it out so openly. This is the core data and information on the magnetic sound tower. Chu Tian said this and emphasized it. I know your abilities, so I don't want to make it hard for you. These data and information will be of great help to you in your research. What a blow. He was clearly looking down on these scholars. Yun Tianhe and the others did not have any temper at all. Chu Tian calmly said, "The magnetic sound tower's use is not just to provide services for the radio. We will use the magnetic sound tower as a foundation to dig out communication services and create a communication platform." Communication? How do we communicate? Everyone knows that the magnetic sound tower is a medium. Sound waves enter the source energy array and turn into a signal, which is then transmitted to the receiver in the magnetic field. Miracle Commerce invented the radio on this basis. Then in theory, the magnetic sound tower can also be used as a medium, connecting two terminals at the same time, allowing sound to be transmitted at the same time, creating an instant communication effect. The several dozen scholars were shocked. How could they not hear Chu Tian's thoughts? Chu Tian wanted to invent a new device. This device was different from the radio. The radio could only receive sound signals, but it could not transmit sound signals. This new device would be completely different. The magnetic sound tower was still a medium. The two terminals could receive and transmit sound to each other. This meant that within the magnetic field of the magnetic sound tower, no matter how far apart two people were, they could still communicate through this device. What kind of great idea was this? This was enough to be written into human history. No, it would be written into the history of the continent. Yun Tianhe and the other scholars were filled with excitement. To them, this research project was a glorious mission that would forever be recorded in history. The communication technology research needs to be done step by step. Chu Tian did not care about the old men's emotions. I will give you some training in 2 weeks, allowing you to grasp the basics. You will use this foundation to develop the communication technology. This project needs to be completed within a month. Finally, I want to tell everyone about a long-term project in the laboratory. Although we are not in a rush to develop it, we still need to prepare ahead of time. A short-term and a medium-term project were already this shocking. What would the long-term project be? Miracle Commerce has developed to this day. Whether it is the electric lamp, the source energy pot, or the magnetic sound tower, they're all good inventions. The thing I will talk about next has a great significance. I will name this project the Source Energy Matrix Computer. Source Energy Matrix Computer? What kind of thing was this? They had never heard of it before. Chu Tian seriously said, "The Source Energy Matrix Computer is the most important part of Miracle Commerce. This so-called computer is a kind of device that can follow instructions and automatically process all kinds of data and information. It will become the greatest technological invention in human history. Its wide use will free humans from heavy mental labor. It will increase the speed and accuracy of collecting, processing, and spreading information in every field of society. It will directly speed up the progress of humanity toward an information society. In a single sentence, once this thing appears, our research and life will become much more convenient." The old scholar had a confused look on his face. He really couldn't talk about high-level things with primitive people. In short, the Source Energy Matrix Computer requires a lot of work and a lot of time. It also requires a large amount of money and manpower. It is not something that can be done in a day, and it is not something that a single person can do. In the future, we will let you learn some basic knowledge in preparation for the Source Energy Matrix Computer. If you follow me to do research, I can't guarantee anything else, but I can let you learn the best knowledge and technology. Chapter 201. This group of hot-blooded old men were left in the research facility. Chun Bingyu followed Chu Tian out, but her heart could not calm down for a long time. She silently hesitated for a few seconds and finally couldn't help asking, "Can you really complete your 2 projects?" It wasn't that Chun Bingyu didn't believe in Chu Tian. She didn't believe in Yun Tian's group. These technologies surpassed the continent by many years and were unheard of even in a large kingdom. Yun Tianhe was a famous scholar, but he was only limited to a small country like the Southern Summer Country. These scholars from a small country, how could they accomplish something that an empire could not? Nonsense. Would I ever do something I wasn't confident in? Chu Tian gave a confident smile and said, "Of course I can't count on them for the core. I will personally break it. They will only be responsible for a bit of hard work. For example, when I find a data algorithm and teach it to them, I won't interfere in the future when we need to use that algorithm to complete the design. I'll let them do it. It's that simple." Actually, it was obvious even if one used there, but to think. How could these people complete this kind of project? Even if it was a low-level magnetic sound communication technology, it would still require a very complex source energy array system to complete. If they did not have enough theoretical knowledge, Yin Tianhe and the others could forget about completing it in 100 years. In Chu Tian's era, magnetic sound communication technology had already been eliminated. It was because of the long history that even if Chu Tian knew the principles, he would not be able to create it. It was like how most people knew the composition and formula of gunpowder, but how to create a stable and easy-to-use gunpowder was another matter. Chu Tian completing the core of the communication system was like taking out the gunpowder formula. Yin Tianhe and the others' work was to conduct large amounts of experiments, modify large amounts of data, and constantly fix the flaws. Finally, they could create the best gunpowder. It was not difficult at all. It was purely hard work. This saved Chu Tian a large amount of time, and Yun Tianhe and the others were enjoying it. Miracle Commerce needed to train a decent team for their future development, providing a maintenance and repair team. This was a win-win situation for both sides. Chun Bingyu became more and more curious. What kind of career could this calm and collected young man accomplish? Guard the door and don't let anyone in. In the underground laboratory, there were several dozen large beakers on the table, filled with a viscous red liquid that was being refined by a source energy array. The liquid inside contained a terrifying amount of energy. The ancient god gave the remnant divine blood to Chu Tian. Chu Tian used the ancient god's memory fragments to find other uses for it besides refining the divine blood in corpses. God's blood contained godly power, which could break almost any cursed power in the world. It could also dissolve most poisons. If one could use God's blood to improve one's physique, then the strength of one's body and recovery speed would be greatly increased. Moreover, one would no longer need to fear curses and poison attacks. Chu Tian was very tempted by this. However, the energy contained in the god's blood was definitely not something an ordinary person could withstand. It had to be diluted greatly before it could be used to make medicine. The liquid in the dozens of goblets was diluted with a drop of God's blood. The energy density is still too high? If you recklessly use it now, I'm afraid that it will cause great damage to your body. Unbelievable. The power contained in the God Spirit blood was too strong. After all, gods are the strongest creatures in the world. He had to continue diluting it. Chu Tian did not have time to finish before Nangong Yun rushed into the laboratory with a large hammer on her back. Ignoring Chun Bingyu's obstruction, she loudly shouted, "Today is the opening day of the Miracle Grand Hotel. Why are you still wandering around here as the chairman? Quickly come with me. Ying and elder sister Qingwu are worried to death." This is bad. He almost forgot about this important matter. He still had to give face to those 2 young misses. Chu Tian helplessly gave up on his work. He first put the diluted god's blood into the gourd to prevent the little fox from sneaking back to drink it. "I understand. What are you worried about? I'll go now." The opening ceremony was over. There wasn't even a shadow of the chairman. So how could he not be worried? Chu Tian was the soul of miracle commerce. Many families were willing to form an alliance with miracle commerce purely because of Chu Tian's influence and status. Chu Tian had to show up at this opening ceremony, giving all the partners a peace of mind. Meng Qingwu had been active for many days, giving miracle commerce a lot of attention. It was only the first day of opening, but it was already packed to the point of bursting. There was a line that stretched across half the street. "Why are you only here now? Quickly come in with me." As soon as Chu Tian arrived, a soft and smooth hand pulled Chu Tian into the hotel. Meng Yingying said as she ran, "Elder sister has just been surrounded by a group of reporters. Quickly go and save her." Chu Tian revealed a bitter smile. How could it be that exaggerated? The young miss has already dealt with this kind of situation. Today was the opening day of the Miracle Grand Hotel. Meng Qingwu was holding a special press conference in the hotel, officially announcing that Miracle Commerce had set foot in Central State City. At this time, the press conference hall was already filled with people. Meng Qingwu took out the reporters with the deep backgrounds of the three great families and selected some of the more influential reporters. There were already 30-40 of them, not to mention the several dozen small and medium-sized cooperating families. There were 4 nameplates on the podium. In the center was the chairman, Chu Tian. Next to him was the vice chairman, Meng Qingwu. The Yun family representative was Yun Yao, and there was also a host nameplate that had Feng Katie's name on it. Feng Kaidai was personally hosting. This was a bit meaningful. Who didn't know Feng Katie's identity? Could it be that Shun Fengho had done this on purpose? Whether it was the common people or the merchants, they all had high expectations for the press conference. Feng Kaidai walked up in a dignified and solemn yellow palace dress. Her hair was carefully coiled up, and she even put on some light makeup. She didn't carry her divine wind sword, giving people a gentle and approachable feeling, instantly stunning everyone present. "Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Miracle Grand Hotel to participate in the strategic announcement and partner signing ceremony. I am Feng Kaidai, lucky to be the host of this press conference. Now let's first invite the Miracle Commerce Chairman, the respected Chu Tian, the Vice Chairman, young Miss Meng Qingwu, and the partner representative, young Miss Yun Yao, to come on stage." Meng Yingying pushed back Chu Tian. "Quickly go, quickly go." Chu Tian helplessly walked onto the stage and waved to everyone with a faint smile. The crowd broke out in cheers and applause. They finally saw this legendary youth. Meng Qingwu also walked out. She was still wearing a spotless white robe. Her fine black hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall. Her legs were perfectly straight. Her slender figure and her devastatingly beautiful appearance made her stand out like a crane among chickens. The young Miss Temperament was different from the others. Steady, dignified, noble, and cold, just like a high-up goddess. "You knew to come." Meng Qingwu first waved to everyone. When she turned around and sat down, she glared at Chu Tian. Yin Yao also walked onto the main stage. Yin Yao was also a great beauty, although she had a strong sense of sharpness and arrogance, making it hard for people to get close to her. She was still a direct descendant of a large family. She was also one of the famous 4 young masters, so her popularity was very high. It was reasonable for Yun Yao to represent the Yun family. The applause became louder and louder. Everyone was very excited. This was the first time most people saw Chu Tian, especially when they saw him up close. They couldn't help letting out cries of surprise. Chu Tian is so young. It's hard to imagine that such a gentle-looking person would be so ruthless to the point of breaking the 5 limbs of the Shangguan family's envoy. Chu Tian was able to defeat Prince Tianlang and the Dragon Tiger young master by himself. His reputation is not inferior to the 4 young masters. Countless people were discussing. Let the press conference begin. Feng Kaidai held the microphone and said, "We ask Vice Chairman Meng Qingwu to speak and explain Miracle Commerce's strategy." Meng Qingwu was already prepared. She took the microphone and began to speak, greetings to friends from the media and business partners. Miracle Commerce is a recently established company, and thanks to everyone's support, Miracle Commerce has released several new technologies. For example, talismans and medicines, source energy lamps, and source energy cooking, all of which have been very successful. Following this, we will expand the scale of production and allow Miracle Commerce's magical products to be quickly exported to the main city and even the surrounding cities, changing everyone's lives. Miracle Commerce has been preparing for several months and has established Qilan Hall, which will be managed by Nangong Yun and Yun Yao. Other than that, we have established Miracle Commerce Media based on broadcasting technology and have invited young Miss Fong Kai-dai to join us. In the near future, Miracle Commerce's broadcasting station will cover the millions of people in Central State City. We will release several channels that will cover several different areas, bringing an earth-shattering change to the lives of the people of Central State City. Other than that, Miracle Commerce will be looking for a wide range of partners to establish a basic production line, as well as the content of the broadcasting channels, and to develop new technologies. We will provide over 50,000 jobs for the people of Central State City and increase Central State City's tax revenue by several hundred million. Everyone listen with their mouths agape. Miracle Commerce's chess move was really big, and it was completely subversive. After Meng Qingwu finished speaking, Fong Kai-dai gave the microphone to Chu Tian. Next, we asked the chairman to speak and announce the cooperation plans with our partners. Fuck, you want me to speak? I don't know anything. When Chu Tian was feeling depressed, Meng Qingwu secretly gave him a piece of paper. Chu Tian let out a long sigh of relief and immediately picked up the paper to read. I announced that Miracle Commerce will purchase the Underworld Mercenary Group and will invest 50 million gold coins into the Underworld Mercenary Group. With an elite mentality, we will expand the Mercenary Group to 3,000 people in 2 months. Other than that, Miracle Commerce will take out 100 million gold coins and open up cooperation channels. We will cooperate with the Yun Sect, Tianjin Chamber of Commerce, and several other powers. These family companies will have. The division of labor for these partners is... Everyone was deeply shocked by the content. Miracle Commerce had only been established for a few days, but they had already won over this many allies. Chu Tian finally announced, "Now we will enter the signing phase." Fong Kai-dai quickly said into the microphone, "We ask all the partners to come on stage." Lin Mu, Jing Hao, and the other 20 people came on stage. Only Lin Mu and Jing Hao were developed by Chu Tian. The others were all negotiated by Meng Qingwu in Central State City. Almost all the middle-tier companies, mercenary groups, fleets, and media were working with Miracle Commerce. So why would they need to worry about resources, productivity, and influence? Chu Tian couldn't help admiring Meng Qingwu. This was just too strong. In this short amount of time, she was able to gather so many resources for Miracle Commerce. Miracle Commerce's future development would definitely be 1,000 miles in a single day. Fong Kai-dai revealed a faint smile. Now we will enter the Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can ask. Before she finished, the scene suddenly heated up. Countless people raised their hands, expressing that they had questions to ask. Everyone is very enthusiastic. Fong Kai-dai began to choose a question. This young miss can ask her question first. Who would have thought that when the press conference was heating up, a terrifying aura would suddenly cover the conference hall? Everyone's expressions changed. What was going on? Such a terrifying aura. There weren't many people in Central State City that could release such a strong aura. Who was it that dared to cause trouble at the Miracle Commerce press conference? Didn't they know that Chu Tian was currently in the limelight? Chun Bingyu had been resting with her eyes closed, but when she felt this aura, she immediately stood up. Her eyes released a trace of killing intent, as well as a trace of fear. Chapter 202. A strong smell of blood wafted into the hall, as if there were swords of death stained with blood pressed against their throats. Those sharp swords were filled with a thirst for blood, and they could not wait to tear open their skin and blood vessels and drink to their heart's content. Such a strong pressure. In terms of aura, it was not inferior to Chun Bingyu's. The originally lively scene instantly became silent, and many people found it hard to breathe. When did Central State City have such an expert? Chu Tian, you really are bold. A loud and deep voice suddenly sounded in the hall, and even the glass on the four sides shattered. You betrayed the Chu clan, opened a chamber of commerce, and even went against the clan. You have no morals, and are despicable to the extreme. Each word was like a sword that shot into the hall, filled with an incomparably sharp edge. Central State only had a few true Soul Realm experts. It was impossible for one to appear out of nowhere. Could the Shangwan family have sent people to take revenge? The Shangwan family would not give Shin Fengho face, and even if they sent people to take revenge, it would not be this fast. Shangwan Ming had just been sent out of Central State. Chu Tian sat in his seat, not moving at all. This was a dark red figure that appeared in the center of the hall. It was a spirited old man with white hair and a thin body. He wore a dark red swordsman's robe and had a black jade crown on his head. His eyes were like swords, and his aura was sharp, just like a blood-stained sword. Everyone shuddered. If this person was enraged, the entire crowd would be cut down by his sword. Blood-drinking sword Chu Shi. Oh, why is it him? Didn't the Chu family's remote great elder leave Central State 4 years ago? Everyone revealed looks of fear. This person was not anyone else, but rather the previous head of the Chu family, the current remote great elder Chu Shi. People called him the blood-drinking sword. 40 years ago, the name of the blood-drinking sword had shaken Central State. Although this remote great elder did not have any power, his influence was even higher than the current head of the family. Chu Shi had been in Yinyao City for 4 years. On one hand, it was to find opportunities for himself, and on the other hand, it was to expand the Chu family's influence. Who would have thought that he would return to Central State City at this time? It would definitely be a great boost to the Chu family's morale. This meant that the Chu family also had a true Soul Realm expert. Chu Shi directly walked towards the main platform. Every step he took seemed to cause blood to flow out of his face, causing the people in front of him to involuntarily retreat. The blood drinker sword was bloodthirsty and numb to killing. Who dared to stand in his way? That was courting death. At this time, the temperature in the hall suddenly dropped. A silent black-clothed girl suddenly appeared in front of Chu Shi, instantly blocking the tip of the blood drinker sword. Everyone felt their bodies relax. Chun Bingyu's eyes were filled with killing intent, coldly staring at the blood drinker sword that had been famous in Zhongzhou for decades, and said in a cold voice, "One more step and I'll kill you." How arrogant. Chu Shi had never seen Chun Bingyu before, but he had heard of her name. This girl was not that old, but her cultivation base was very terrifying. Chu Shi did not have a high chance of winning against her. "You must be Chun Bingyu. I advise you not to meddle in matters that you shouldn't meddle in. Otherwise, once you fall into a quagmire, it won't be easy for you to leave." Chun Bingyu did not say anything. A sparkling snowflake appeared in her palm. A bone-chilling, killing intent surrounded Chu Shi. Chun Bingyu was called the Ice Queen and had a cold and overbearing personality. She was also a ruthless person, so if Chu Shi dared to make a move, she would not show mercy. Meng Qingwu and Yun Yao tightly knit their brows. This person did not have good intentions, although Chun Bingyu was blocking him. Once the two true Soul Realm experts fought, the hotel that Miracle Commerce had prepared for so many days would be destroyed, and the carefully prepared press conference would be ruined. This would be a large blow to Miracle Commerce's morale. Meng Qingwu was most worried that with the appearance of the blood-drinking sword Chu Shi, there would be a portion of the powers that were prepared to join Miracle Commerce that would waver. Among the powers that were working with Miracle Commerce, there were quite a few that were on the fence. Meng Qingwu did not care at first, because as long as she deepened her cooperation with Miracle Commerce, she would be able to use benefits to bind them. Who would have thought that the blood-drinking sword would appear? Man proposes, but the heavens disposes. Chu Shi stared at Chun Bingyu. He could feel how strong Chun Bingyu was, and even Chu Shi did not have confidence in winning against her. With this kind of expert protecting him, It was no wonder the Chu family could not do anything to this evil disciple. Chu Tian, don't make the same mistake again. Chu Shi ignored Chun Bingyu and stared at Chu Tian. It's not too late to mend your ways and return to the Chu family. Although you have made a series of mistakes, this old man can guarantee that everything will be written off. The Chu family will treat you with the same importance as Chu Xinghe. Everyone revealed a shocked expression. Was the Chu family going to take back this abandoned child? In truth, it should have been like this long ago. If Chu Tian returned to the Chu family, he would have Chu Tian in literature and Chu Xinghe in martial arts. Both of them had the ability to split the land and become a marquis. The influence of the Chu family would be unstoppable. If I bring the Chu family into action, miracle commerce will find it hard to take a single step, and you will not have a place to stand. Chu Shi's eyes flashed with a bloody glow as a faintly discernible energy circulated around his body. The only way to protect yourself is to immediately hand over miracle commerce and return to the Chu family. Otherwise, he promised to focus on training. He directly threatened them. This was truly using both carrot and stick at the same time. Great Elder really knows how to conduct himself. Chu Tian had a trace of irritation in the depths of his heart. That was a trace of remnant thoughts left behind by the original owner, a deep loathing and hatred. When I was useless, the Chu family abandoned me and killed my parents. Now that I have a bit of value, I will return to be your dog? Who do you think I am? Scram! Scram! His words shocked everyone present. Chu Tian was not a normal kind of valiant. It was understandable if he was arrogant towards Shangwanming. After all, the Central State was not the territory of the Shangwan family, and Chu Tian was confident of his victory at that time. Now, even the famous blood drinker, Sword, Chu Shi, dared to have such an attitude? Old man, you got some balls, huh? To actually dare threaten me. Then let's try it. Chu Tian stood up with a domineering appearance. I will say this today. If the Chu family dares to touch a single hair on miracle commerce, I will directly kill my way into the Chu family. Even if I have to destroy both sides, I will not let your Chu family have peace. A barefooted person is not afraid of wearing shoes. Your Chu family has tens of thousands of people, and I am alone. Do you think I will be afraid of you? Chu Tian was enraged. Although his strength was not as great, his aura instantly suppressed Chu Shi. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Valiant. Crazy. This Chu Shi's attitude was already strong enough. But who would have thought that Chu Tian would not give him any face and would instead be even stronger? The soft fear the hard fear the unreasonable, and the unreasonable fear the stupid. Chu Shi's arrogance in front of this stupid Chu Tian really had no way. This old man didn't even bother asking around. Before Chu Tian had any power, he dared to hold Prince Tianlang hostage and pour his urine on him. He did not even bat an eyelid in front of the tens of thousands of Ye family mercenaries. This person was well known for not being afraid of death. From everyone's understanding of Chu Tian, since he dared to say this, perhaps he would really do it. If the Chu family dared to touch miracle commerce, it would mean that a battle would erupt. Chu Tian had the 18 corpses as guards, Chen Bingyu's help, Yin Tian's help, and Shun Fengho's backing, adding in the Yun family's influence, as well as the low-level families that Chu Tian had roped in. Once this conflict erupted, it would be a reign of terror for Central State City. With the deep background of the Chu family, would they be able to block this wave? Perhaps they would be heavily injured and lose more than half of their elites. They might even become a second-rate family. Chu Tian dared to go all out. Would your Chu family dare? They didn't even have the resolve to die together, yet they dared to act arrogantly in front of Chu Tian. Everyone's hearts calmed down at the same time. As long as Chu Shi's brain wasn't damaged, he would not risk his entire family to fight to the death with miracle commerce. This instantly solidified everyone's determination to cooperate with miracle commerce. Chu Shi himself was stunned. Because he had just returned to Central State City, he only knew what had happened recently. He did not understand Chu Tian's personality, so he directly came to cause trouble for Chu Tian. He wanted to use his strength and prestige to force Chu Tian to submit. It would be best if he could bring Chu Tian back to the Chu family. Even if he couldn't bring him back to bid, he could at least make him spit out miracle commerce. Who would have thought that he would kick an iron plate? Chu Shi's face turned livid. He was a famous character from 40 years ago. How could he allow a younger generation to ride over him? This is Miracle Commerce's press conference. We don't have an old fool like you on our invitation list. Chu Tian did not place a true soul expert in his eyes at all. Chun Bingyu, send this old man out. Don't delay the press conference. Chun Bingyu took a step forward. Please leave. Chun Bingyu was an unyielding person. Chu Shi's face turned livid. He had come to show off his strength, and at the very least he could scare off the Miracle Commerce collaborators. But he was defeated by the other side. He could only brace himself and say, "You giving up on returning to the Chu family is a stupid decision. All the Central State families and companies listen to me. You will pay a heavy price for standing on the wrong side. With respect and love, wait for the Chu family's revenge." So, a piece of paper flew over. It was like a sharp dart flying at Chu Tian. Even if it was a normal piece of paper, it could cut through metal in the hands of an expert like Chu Shi. Chun Bingyu blocked it and easily caught it. There were several large words written on the paper. Challenge letter. Chu Tian, if you're really that confident. Chu Shi turned to leave while coldly saying, "Then accept the Chu family's third generation's most outstanding genius. Chu Xingha's challenge. A fair and square challenge." Chu Xingha's challenge. Everyone was shocked. Chun Bingyu placed the challenge letter in front of Chu Tian, but there was no time or place written on it. Yun Yao, Nangong Yun, and the others all tightly knit their brows. There was no need to doubt Chu Tian's strength. But wasn't it a bit too early to fight with Chu Xingha? Chu Xingha was a true genius. He could easily jump levels to fight. Although Chu Tian had won in the trial space, he had already experienced the might of his sword art. Fighting with him now was too early. Once he accepted, it meant a large risk. But if he didn't accept, it meant that Chu Tian was afraid. Then the momentum that Chu Tian had accumulated would disappear. All right. Chu Tian didn't even look at it as he tore open the challenge letter in front of everyone. "I'll wait for him to recover and fight with me." Chu Tian agreed. This meant that the two most dazzling young geniuses of Central State were destined to have a battle that everyone would pay attention to. Everyone couldn't help revealing looks of admiration. What was a true genius? What was true courage? Not fearing challenges, not fearing enemies, not fearing death. This kind of courage was not something a normal person could have. Chu Shi had already left. All right, the old bastard causing trouble has left. Chu Tian sat down in his seat. Everyone, let's continue. The signing ceremony continued as normal. Even if Chu Shi came to the conference, he still wasn't able to scare away Miracle Commerce's collaborators. Instead, it allowed Chu Tian's domineering side to appear in everyone's eyes, causing Chu Shi to suffer a large loss. Those collaborators were even more determined to cooperate with Miracle Commerce. Although the conference was not affected by the disturbance, it left a great suspense in Central State City. Chu Tian and Chu Xingha, these two old enemies, were destined to have a decisive battle. Chapter 203. In the Chu family's headquarters, several hundred elite Chu family swordsmen were respectfully standing in 2 rows. The family head Chu Shanha had personally come out to welcome them. The family had fallen into a critical moment, and the remote Great Elder had just returned. This was undoubtedly a cardiac stimulant for the Chu family. The remote Great Elder Chu Shi was in the True Soul realm and was not weaker than the Yun family's old, undying Yun Tianhe. In terms of battle strength, he was much stronger than Yun Tianhe. The 3 great families had always suffered losses because they did not have a True Soul realm expert, so they had to be careful. This allowed Chu Tian to rise step by step until he reached a point where it was hard to deal with. Chu Shanha cupped his hands to Chu Shi, remote Great Elder. "Don't say it, I understand." Chu Shi's sharp eyes swept over everyone. "How is Xinghe's situation? Bring me to see him." Chu Xinghe gradually stabilized. but he was not out of danger yet. The netherworld ghost flame was too sinister. It did not have any heat and could not burn anything, but it could damage one's cultivation base by igniting one's spirit energy. Chu Tian's netherworld ghost flame was different from normal netherworld flames. This flame had been nurtured by the Spirit King for over 10,000 years, and it had a strong corrosive nature that could corrode one's meridians, causing permanent damage. When Chu Xinghe was hit by the raging flame, an incomparably large netherworld ghost flame instantly covered his meridians. This kind of injury was very serious, and even with Chu Xinghe's cultivation, it would be hard for him to recover in a short period of time. The sword that Chu Xinghe gave to Chu Tian had almost crippled Chu Tian. Chu Tian had also given Chu Xinghe a slash, which had almost crippled him. Speaking of this, he would have to pay back sooner or later. Chu Xinghe was filled with hatred. That brat Chu Tian is too hateful. Xinghe has suffered such a heavy injury. He won't be able to recover in a short period of time. Physical injuries are easy to heal, but heart injuries are hard to heal. Chu Shi saw Chu Xinghe lying on a jade bed. His hair was completely disheveled, and his face was as pale as paper. Xinghe's talent has been outstanding since he was young. Since he was young, no one has been able to compete with him. Unless he fights with the top experts of the older generation, he has never been defeated. Now that he's been defeated by a nameless person who's younger and has a lower cultivation, he's bound to have a heart demon planted in him. Chu Shana frowned. Chu Xinghe was the future of the Chu family. The family was counting on him to lead the family to a new peak. How could he be depressed? This knot in my heart lies with Chu Tian. I will immediately gather the strength of the clan and kill him at all costs. No, Chu Shi stopped Chu Shanhe. With Chun Bingyu by his side, it would be hard for the Chu family to succeed. If they completely angered that madman, it would not be good for the Chu family. In the future, he will meet many geniuses. We can't let the family solve every obstacle, right? He must overcome his inner demons by himself. Chu Shi directly walked into the room. Chu Xinghe slowly opened his eyes. Respected elder? Chu Shi sternly said, Xinghe, are you willing to fail? A trace of deep hatred and resentment flashed in Chu Xinghe's eyes, but this failure was a great blow to him. Very good. I'm very satisfied with your eyes. Remember, no matter how strong a person is, they can't always win. Chu Shi could see a strong hatred in Chu Xinghe's eyes. Since there was hatred, he wouldn't be depressed. If I can't even take a single blow, how can I take on the responsibility of reviving the Chu family? Get up. Tell me, do you think you're weaker than Chu Tian? No. Chu Xinghe clenched his fists. That's impossible. He's just using tricks. If we fought head-on, I could kill him with a single slash. There was no doubt about this. From the previous battles, it was hard for him to fight against Luo, Xianglong, and Yi Tianlang. Although Chu Tian's battle strength was not bad, it was impossible for him to defeat Chu Xinghe. Then don't waste your time here. Chu Shi sternly said, take back the dignity you've lost. I've already sent a challenge to Chu Tian for you. Once you've recovered from your injuries, you'll have a fair and square fight with him. Chu Shanhe was shocked. Respected elder, I'm afraid this isn't appropriate. Xinghe's injuries will probably. Why do you think I suddenly came back? Chu Shi took out a jade box from his chest. Take a look. Chu Shanhe opened the jade box a crack. Suddenly, a shocking spiritual energy wildly surged out like a whirlwind in the room. There were even many illusions that appeared, making everyone dumbstruck. Chu Shi replied, this is a 7-song spirit ginseng that I obtained by chance. The 7-song spirit ginseng is a natural spirit medicine, and this one is 30 to 40,000 years old. It has already evolved into a holy medicine and even has a trace of an immortal medicine. Could it be a half-immortal grade spirit medicine? That's not it. Immortal grade spirit medicines are very precious, and Southern Xia's spirit earth is very thin, making it almost impossible for it to grow. Although it isn't a half-immortal grade spirit medicine, it is still a top-grade holy medicine that is worth 1 billion gold coins. Not only can this medicine heal all injuries, It can also increase one's cultivation in a short period of time, allowing Xinghe to break through his current cultivation. Top grade holy medicine. Materials were divided into normal grade, spirit grade, holy grade, immortal grade, and divine grade. Materials of the same quality were also divided into low, middle, high, and top grade. Chu Tian had spent a high price to exchange for the earth treasury fruit, but it was only a middle grade holy medicine. The value of this 7-song spirit ginseng could be imagined. There weren't many of them in all of southern Xia. It was a priceless super holy medicine. Chu Shanhe knew how precious this medicine was. He had an excited expression as he said to Chu Xinghe, "Why aren't you thanking me yet?" Chu Xinghe quickly stood up and bowed. "Many thanks, great elder." Chu Shanhe said, "Right now in the central state, 4 young masters, Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang, are basically crippled. Yin Yao has become Chu Tian's follower, so she probably won't be able to do much. As long as you defeat Chu Tian in front of everyone, no one in Central State will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Your reputation will even surpass what it was before." Chu Xinghe held the jade box, and a trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. The humiliation that Chu Tian had given him had to be repaid 100 times over. Don't find trouble with miracle commerce for now. Just let them be at ease for a while. If we don't do anything, will the people of Central State think that the Chu family is afraid of them? It's fine. I just want to numb Chu Tian. If we don't make a move, then once we make a move, we must completely eradicate miracle commerce. Chu Shi revealed a ruthless expression. The 2 old monsters of the Ye family and Luo family are currently in Imperial City. I've already written letters to them. When they return to Central State at that time, the 3 remote elders working together, the 3 great families would be completely different. Chu Shanhe nodded. If it was like this, then there would be no mistakes. 30 to 40 years ago, of the 4 family heads, Yin Tianhe was the most outstanding one. However, the 3 remote elders had found a suitable successor, so they left the family to travel the world and find their own opportunities. Only Yin Tianhe had no successor, so he had no way to leave. Adding in the family's academic nature, there was no need for him to chase after strength. Because he stayed in Central State City for a long time, he was gradually surpassed by others. When the hurricane passes, only the grass will remain. Chu Shi was old and ruthless. The divine wind marquis is strong, and Chu Tian is in the limelight, so we'll hide and bide our time. The 3 great families were all over 100-year-old families, so they wouldn't be easily defeated. As long as the family's core strength was preserved, once the 3 remote elders worked together, even Shun Fenghe would have to worry about them. Once a suitable opportunity appeared, wouldn't it be easy to eliminate Chu Tian? It wasn't a big deal if there was criticism, because the result would prove everything. This was just a backup plan that Chu Xinghe had left behind. This was something that Chu Xinghe could not directly kill Chu Tian. Of course, Chu Shi did not think that Chu Xinghe could not beat Chu Tian. He was worried that the divine wind marquis would investigate and stop Chu Xinghe from killing Chu Tian. Chu Shanhe let out a long sigh of relief. With the remote elders' overall plan, there was nothing to worry about. Most of the Chu family's territory was fought for by the remote elder, and the others were veterans of the family. They were all ruthless, and not a single one of them was a normal person. So what if it was the divine wind marquis? Even if he was a generation's marquis, even if he was a veteran of the battlefield, he might not be able to beat the 3 families in this kind of battle. Just wait. Chu Tian did not have many good days left. The next day, the news spread throughout Central State City. The Chu family remote elder had appeared, and Chu Xinghe had publicly challenged Chu Tian. The Chu family even held a press conference and arrogantly said, right now Chu Tian was too weak. Even if Chu Xinghe defeated him, it would be an unfair victory. So, they would give Chu Tian some time and let Chu Tian break into the illustrious Soul Realm before fighting again. When this news spread, Central State City was shaken. Chu Xinghe had publicly challenged Chu Tian. This was a battle that people were looking forward to. Was Chu Tian weak? Of course not. He had defeated Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang by himself. He had defeated 2 young masters by himself. This was enough to prove that Chu Tian had the qualifications to be on the same level as Chu Xinghe. Now, Chu Tian was listed as a new super genius, and he was even given a resounding title, Young Master Netherworld. He got his name from his strange and unfathomable sword technique. Being able to obtain such a title was enough to represent Chu Tian's position in the hearts of the people. When the Chu family's voice came from afar, Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. The Chu family was so good that they were waiting for him to break through. It was all bullshit. It was just that Chu Xinghe's injuries were still healed, so he couldn't fight directly. He was pretending to give Chu Tian time, giving the Chu family a way out of this embarrassing situation, showing off their family's boldness. Chu Tian's guess was pretty much the same, but it wasn't complete. It was true that Chu Xinghe's injuries had not healed, but delaying the duel was not only to heal, but also to break through. Even a top-grade sacred herb couldn't be swallowed in one gulp. That was too much of a waste. In order to maximize the value of the sacred herb, he had to spend time looking for supplementary materials. Yun Yao still felt that this wasn't a good idea. Are you really going to openly fight him? Chu Xinghe is completely different from the 2 you defeated. I'm very clear on his strength. Chu Tian had fought with Chu Xinghe in the trial space, so he knew how strong Chu Xinghe's sword art was. Moreover, with Chu Xinghe's full strength attack, it was enough to kill an opponent several levels higher. Let him come. If he dares to challenge me, I will accept. Yin Yao really did not believe that Chu Tian could defeat Chu Xinghe. Only Chu Tian had created too many miracles, so even Yin Yao was a bit hesitant. No matter how they looked at it, it was impossible for him to surpass Chu Xinghe. But what if he did something unexpected? In the trial tower, didn't no one think highly of him? The final result made people's eyes pop out. Chu Tian put aside this matter and focused on helping the young Miss, Ying, Nangong, and the others cultivate. The young Miss and Ying were both at the peak first awakened soul layer, and the Starlight immortal body had reached the peak of the glass body. With the help of the Starlight stone and medicine, the Starlight immortal body had already reached the peak, so it broke through without any suspense. The 2 of them had also reached the second awakened soul layer. Not only that, Chu Tian brought a large amount of half-step saint-grade medicine and combined it with the 10,000-year-old spiritual honey. They had reached the triple awakened soul realm. The young Miss and Ying were not battle-type geniuses, so there was no need to consolidate their cultivation techniques. Chu Tian spared no effort in raising their cultivation bases, so their cultivation speed was very fast. It was estimated that in 10 days, they would reach the peak of the triple awakened soul realm. Chu Tian and Nangong Yun were not idle either. They had officially reached the peak of the triple awakened soul realm. During this period of time, they had been spending money at an extremely fast pace. Their total expenditure was estimated to reach 1 to 200 million gold coins. Even for the 4 major families, this was a very large sum. Miracle commerce was expanding very quickly, but most of their funds were used for investment and development. They could only borrow money from the Yun family in the name of the company to maintain their expenses. This money was not a small number for the Yun family. Chu Tian helped the Yun family refine a sacred pill, increasing Yun Yao's chances of breaking through to the 5th awakened soul layer. It had to be known. This era's alchemy was very simple. The pills refined by Southern Xia's alchemy grandmasters using medium-grade sacred herbs could not compare to the pills refined by Chu Tian using low-grade sacred herbs. So, when Chu Tian helped Yun Yao refine a sacred pill, it could increase the quality of the pill by more than double. Yun Yao's potential was not bad. The cultivation technique she was using now had been personally modified by Chu Tian. Yun Yao had a large chance of breaking through to the 5th awakened soul layer. Lin Mu, Feng Han, and Yun Xiao had almost reached the triple awakened soul realm. Lin Mu and Feng Han had exchanged for a sacred herb in the trial tower, preparing to break through to the 4th awakened soul layer. Yin Xiao also had the support of his family, so these weakest members had a lot of room for improvement. The consumption of resources was becoming faster and faster. With Chu Tian as the leader, the young Miss, Ying, Lin Mu, Fong Han, and Nangong all needed to refine sacred pills. There were quite a few half-stepped sacred herbs, so the 100 million gold coins they borrowed from the Yin family was not enough. They had to use several tens of millions from the Miracle Commerce account to satisfy their needs. The consumption of cultivation was too large. Chu Tian needed to spare no effort to develop the company. The four great families were raising four important heirs. Why was this? Did the four great families not have any other talents? Wrong. Actually, there were quite a few talented people, but even a power like the four great families would find it hard to raise all of them at once. They could only raise a few important ones. Chu Tian had realized this a long time ago. The top powers on the continent did not have the most geniuses, but rather they had the most resources. The construction of a power and a person's cultivation did not contradict each other. Chapter 204. When the news of Chu Xinghe publicly challenging Chu Tian was released by the Chu family, it shook Central State City. Everyone quickly calmed down. The three great families all went into hiding, avoiding a conflict with Miracle Commerce. Miracle Commerce boldly advanced, combining the Yun family and several dozen other families. Now, they had become a superpower after the four great families. Mayor Feng Yunlong's teeth itched with hatred. In the end, he was being controlled by Shan Fenghe and Feng Yintian. Now all the power was given to him by his clan brother. If Shan Fenghe could give it to them, then he could take it back. Last time when he incited Shang Wanming to deal with Chu Tian, Shan Fenghe was already very dissatisfied. Feng Yunlong had to consider his clan brother's attitude, not to mention the fact that the Feng family's influence in Central State City was not as deep as the four great families. So the four great families did not dare make a move. Once the mayor made a mistake and angered several medium-sized powers, there was the danger of him becoming a mere figurehead. He could only watch as Miracle Commerce became bigger. At this time, it had been half a month since Chu Tian fought Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianling. Meng Ying, Meng Qingwu, Lin Mu, Fong Han, and Chu Tian had all reached the peak of the triple awakened soul layer. Yin Yao had reached the peak fourth awakened soul layer. Nangong Yun, Feng Kai Dai, and Yin Yao's progress was faster, and they had already gathered all the materials they needed. Chu Tian personally used the limitless gourd as a pill furnace to refine a saint-level pill for the three of them. Chu Tian's alchemy skills far surpassed this era. A low-grade saint pill refined from Chu Tian's hands had an effect that surpassed most of the medium-grade saint pills of this era. The limitless gourd itself was a very rare treasure. Using this gourd to refine a pill, it would contain a trace of pure earth-sourced qi, so it could increase the effect of the pill. Yin Yao was breaking through from the peak fourth awakened soul layer to the fifth awakened soul layer. There was no bottleneck blocking her, so there was no suspense at all. Nangong Yun and Feng Kai Dai had entered the illustrious soul realm from the void soul realm, but with Chu Tian's guidance and help, they had a 70 to 80% chance of success. The effect of the limitless gourd surprised Chu Tian, because in the process of using the limitless gourd to concoct pills, the gourd itself contained Mother Earth Qi that could nourish the pills, and the waste produced during the concoction would be absorbed by the limitless gourd, turning the useless waste into the gourd's waste. The gourd was not an inanimate object. It was a seedling full of vitality. Chu Tian used the water of life to irrigate it and then used the gourd to refine pills and items. The limitless gourd would slowly grow, and the storage space inside would become bigger and bigger. When it was fully grown, it would even have many other functions. Chu Tian, come out quickly. Meng Ying ran to the door excitedly. I have good news for you. Chu Tian was a bit puzzled. What is it? Meng Ying said with an excited expression. I've gone with Uncle Xiong to the Xiong family. I've already discussed it with Great General Xiong Wuji, and the Central State Xiong family has officially formed an alliance with Miracle Commerce. This was indeed a very good thing. The Xiong family had a very high status in Central State, only inferior to the four great families. Only the Xiong family was a family of generals, so they weren't good at business. They didn't have the surplus of the four great families, so they didn't have many resources and couldn't cultivate geniuses like the four young masters. Xiong Tianyin personally pulled the strings. Meng Yingying went to visit the great general and reached an agreement with the Xiong family. Meng Yingying was prepared to open 10 large canned food factories. If Miracle Commerce recruited people to build their own factories, it would take a long time, so they needed to find a reliable agent. The Xiong family had land, people, and resources. The family's influence was very strong and reliable, so Meng Yingying reached an agreement with the Xiong family. The Xiong family would be responsible for producing canned food for Miracle Commerce. After this deal, the Xiong family would earn over 100 million gold coins every year, almost doubling the family's income. It would become the Xiong family's main source of income, which was a very happy matter. For Miracle Commerce, this was the fastest way to increase the canned food production. After the 10 canned food factories were put into production, they would be able to produce 5-6 million cans a month. Adding in the several small canned food factories, it would be enough to satisfy most of southern Xia's market demand, letting the Xiong family earn a bit of processing fees, tying the entire Xiong family to Miracle Commerce's war chariot. This was definitely a very good deal. Meng Yingying had once again made a contribution to Miracle Commerce. While the two of them were talking, there was suddenly a terrifying pressure of a divine beast that covered the entire sky. The clouds in the sky were dyed red, and the entire Miracle Commerce headquarters began to tremble. Meng Yingying said in a surprised voice, "Fire Phoenix." "It's Nangong." Chu Tian revealed a satisfied smile. "Nangong has smoothly broken through. It seems like she has already broken through." That St. Pill was not wasted. Among the people of Miracle Commerce, Nangong Yun was the fastest to reach the intermediate awakened soul realm. Nangong Yun's battle strength was already very strong. Now that she had broken through to the fourth awakened soul layer, she was already stronger than Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong. Even Chu Tian might not be able to beat her. Nangong Yun had the starlight immortal body and a cultivation at the fourth awakened soul layer. Her cultivation technique and martial arts were all top-notch, and she had a god-level source spirit to amplify her strength. Her current strength was above Chu Tian, but she was still lacking compared to Chu Xinghe. She was somewhere in between the two of them. Miracle Commerce had given birth to a strong person, which naturally made everyone excited. They all ran over to congratulate Nangong Yun, although they knew it would be in 2 days. Thunder filled the sky at the Yun family headquarters as Yun Yao broke through. Yun Yao was the fastest of the four young masters to reach the fifth awakened soul layer. The Yun Yao that many people thought was about to fall behind was now walking in front of the four young masters. The strong and the weak had exchanged places, and the situation had changed. At this point, the Central State four young masters had changed. Now they were Heavenly Sword Young Master Chu Xinghe, Netherworld Young Master Chu Tian, Phoenix Young Master Nangong Yun, and Purple Lightning Young Master Yun Yao. The previous Prince Tianlang and the Dragon Tiger Young Master, after they were defeated in the decisive battle, they had no hope of catching up to the four of them. As for who was strong and who was weak, there was debate, but the Purple Lightning Young Master Yun Yao had the highest cultivation. Yin Tianhe was naturally wild with joy. He immediately held a grand celebration banquet at the Yun family headquarters, mainly inviting Miracle Commerce and the related partners to attend. Yun Yao's first breakthrough was a large encouragement to the alliance led by Miracle Commerce. It made the arrogance of the three great families suffer another blow. Chu Tian personally attended the banquet. He had his bodyguard Chun Bingyu and Vice Chairman Meng Qingwu accompany him. Meng Qingwu attracted everyone's attention as soon as she arrived. It wasn't because of Meng Qingwu's beauty and hot body, but rather because after Meng Qingwu came to Central State, she had quickly and accurately arranged everything, showing off her talent and ability in this aspect. Chu Tian's position in miracle commerce was incomparable, but the true management of the company was still done by Meng Qingwu. Chu Tian gave people a special feeling. He had an arrogant and temperamental personality, so it was better to get close to this beautiful and wise beauty. Perhaps he could obtain some benefits. Xiong Wuji came forward and cupped his hands. Little brother Chu, when I first saw you in Yellowstone City, I knew you weren't a normal person, but I never thought that you would be able to stir up the entire Central State. Powerful, truly powerful. Chu Tian chuckled. This is all thanks to the Xiong family's support. Right now we're all one family. The Xiong family is so poor that we can only hope to follow miracle commerce to get out of poverty. After Xiong Wuji greeted Chu Tian, he immediately chuckled and said to Meng Qingwu, Chairman Meng's cultivation is rising very quickly. I think you've reached the peak of triple awakened soul. Meng Qingwu politely smiled. Compared to the great general, Qingwu is still far from it. How can you say that? I'm already 40 or 50 years old. My peak is slowly passing. It's not that easy to raise my cultivation. On the contrary, Chairman Meng is only 20 years old. You're at the age where you can develop. Xiong Wuji waved his hand, and several officers carried a box over. Just in time, I heard that Miracle Commerce has been collecting some materials recently. The general's manor has some. I'll get it to you too. Meng Qingwu's heart moved. Miracle Commerce needed a lot of materials for the sacred pill. They had been searching all over the Central State City Market, but they still hadn't bought all of them. Of course, they couldn't rule out the possibility that the three great families were secretly causing trouble, using this method to delay Chu Tian's cultivation progress. There's no such thing as an undeserved reward. Miracle Commerce won't take advantage of others. Meng Qingwu bluntly accepted it. After we've evaluated the value of these materials, we'll definitely send the money to the general's manor. Xiong Wuji laughed. You're too polite, you're too polite. Not long after Xiong Wuji left, the Jing family's Jing house sent over another batch of materials. This was what Miracle Commerce needed. Chu Tian was puzzled. Materials that couldn't be bought with money. But after attending the Yin family's banquet, he received this much. Did these fellows know that Miracle Commerce needed these things? So they deliberately bought them from the market early and gave them to Miracle Commerce as a gift to earn a favor for Miracle Commerce? Of course. This reflected the current influence of Miracle Commerce. Only when one's own strength was strong would people come to curry favor with them. Chu Tian did not have time to deal with the merchants, so he left it to Meng Qingwu to mediate. Chu Tian ran to find Yun Tianhe. Old man Yun, congratulations. The Yun family finally has a successor. Yun Yao's achievements in the future will most likely be above yours. Yun Tianhe's face was red. It was clear he was very excited. This time he had completely swept away the family's decline. How could Yun Tianhe not be happy? You've come at the right time. I have an idea, and I've asked the elders for your opinion. Yun Tianhe seemed to have made a decision. I've decided to make Yun Yao the acting family head and send several senior elders to support her, while I will retire for the front lines. The meaning behind these words was not ordinary. Yun Tianhe had given the authority to Yun Yao, and Yun Yao had a good relationship with Chu Tian. She was managing Qilin Hall with Nangong Yun and could be considered half a high-level member of Miracle Commerce. Once Yun Yao controlled the Yun family, she would definitely be able to cooperate with Miracle Commerce. Chu Tian laughed and said, Old Yun's treasure blade is not old. Why do you want to retire? Yun Tianhe's old eyes flashed with a wise glow. This family will be handed over to the next generation sooner or later. While this old man still has a few more years to live, it is a good thing to support them. For me, this is letting go of worldly matters and allowing me to do more meaningful things. You mean, I plan to further deepen the cooperation between the Yun sect and the Miracle Research Institute. It would be best if we could combine the two into one, creating a large research and scholar organization. Chu Tian was shocked. He really had to admire Yun Tianhe's boldness. The Yun sect was the foundation of the family and the core benefits of the family. 90% of the Yun family's fame in southern Xia was due to the Yun sect. The The Yun sect's talismans, medicines, martial arts, and other inventions also brought the Yun family a large amount of profit. The Yun sect and the Miracle Research Institute merging was like giving half of the Yun sect to Miracle Commerce. Miracle Commerce's influence and expansion speed, as well as the constant recruitment of top talents. The world would soon only know about the Miracle Research Institute and not the Yun sect. This was not a good thing for the Yun family, but it was a large benefit for Miracle Commerce. This was because no matter how fast Miracle Commerce developed, it was still a new power that had only been established for less than half a year. Resources and talents could not be completed in a day. It required a long period of accumulation. Once the 100-year-old Yun sect merged with the Miracle Research Institute, they would be able to complement each other, allowing Miracle Commerce to have a first-class research, strength, and foundation in southern Xia. All right, but two names is too troublesome. Chu Tian thought about it. From now on, Miracle Commerce's Research Institute will be called the Yun sect. This time, it was Yun Tian's turn to be shocked. Chu Tian abandoning the Miracle Commerce brand was undoubtedly a large gift to the Yun family. The name of the Research Institute was not important to Chu Tian. It was something dispensable. It was just an empty name. But to a family, this empty name was a sharp weapon. Yun Tianhe was overjoyed. From today onwards, the new Yun sect will be established. In just a few words, Chu Tian and Yun Tianhe had reached a cooperation that could shake Central State. From now on, the Yun sect would separate from the Yun family and become a joint research institute, serving Miracle Commerce. The Yun sect's headquarters, as well as the scholars' equipment, as well as the 100 years of resources and reserves, would all be given to Miracle Commerce. The Yun sect was like a new power. Miracle Commerce and the Yun family each held half of the shares. Yun Tianhe believed that his decision would not be wrong. The Yun sect was a resource that Miracle Commerce needed, and the Yun sect would be driven by Miracle Commerce, jumping out of Central State, jumping out of Southern Summer, becoming famous across the continent. The basic structure of the Miracle Commerce Group had already been completed. There was the Miracle Dining Company, responsible for source energy cooking. There was the Miracle Media, responsible for broadcasting, communication, and other businesses. There was the Southern Cloud Commerce, responsible for talismans, medicine, and other traditional products. Other than that, they had purchased the Underworld Mercenary Group, creating their own private army. As for research, they had merged with the Yun sect, creating a first-class research team. Other than that, Qilin Hall was the training base for Miracle Commerce, constantly recruiting new talents and sending fresh blood to the company. It could also train internal members of Miracle Commerce, allowing the entire company to keep improving. Meng Qingguo had single-handedly created the Miracle Commerce Alliance. Now, there were several dozen small and medium-sized powers in Central State, mainly responsible for providing factories, caravans, fleets, transporting resources, materials, and etc. From top to bottom, it covered everything, forming its own ecosystem. With Miracle Commerce developing to this point, it had already begun to soar. After clearing the obstacles in front of them, the road ahead would be smooth sailing. Chapter 205. Yun Tianhe announced his decision in front of everyone. The old patriarch had led the family for an entire 50 years. This was the most important decision, and it was also the last decision the old patriarch made before he left office. The Yun family would use all of their power to live and die with Miracle Commerce. If Miracle Commerce thrived, the Yun family would also prosper. If Miracle Commerce was destroyed, the Yun family would also suffer a large loss. Even an old clan leader in his twilight years had such boldness and ambition. An old family with 200-300 years of history had the determination to cut off all means of retreat. Then these several dozen-year-old small families, what worries did they have? Even if the sky fell, there was still someone tall to hold it up. Everyone was even more determined to follow Miracle Commerce. As long as Miracle Commerce grew larger, they would earn more and more money. Meng Qingguo was very happy from the bottom of her heart. She never thought that old Senior Yun would trust Chu Tian to this degree. This time the Chu family, Luo family, and Yet family would not dare make a move. However, when the atmosphere of the Yun family's banquet reached its climax with this decision, a voice came from the Yun family. Sir Mayor has arrived. When these words came out, everyone was shocked. Who didn't know about the relationship between Chu Tian and the mayor? Why would the mayor come to the Yun family at this time? But no matter what, the mayor was still the highest-ranked person in Central State City. Even if it was etiquette, they still had to greet him. What are you staring at? The Yun family revealed their hostility, but Yun Tianhe remained calm. Sir Mayor has personally arrived. Why aren't you welcoming him? More than a dozen elite guards of the city lord's mansion walked in. They were fully armored with a murderous aura and held weapons that shone with a cold light. They stood neatly in 2 rows. That kind of murderous aura that had been on the battlefield for a long time made the festive and lively atmosphere of the banquet collapse. They did not come with good intentions. Let's see what they were planning. Mayor Feng Yunlong was wearing an official's robe with the mayor's jade crown on his head. There were several guards and scribes that followed him closely. Old Yun. Feng Yunlong laughed as he walked in, saying in a complaining tone, "Purple Lightning Young Master's cultivation has greatly improved. This is a joyous matter for Central State City. How could you not inform this city lord? No matter what, I should send a congratulatory gift to encourage him." Everyone looked at each other. If not for the fact that everyone knew the inside story, they would have thought that the Yun family had a very good relationship with the mayor. Yun Tianhe cupped his hands to the mayor and humbly said, "It's just a small improvement. I don't dare disturb the mayor." Modest too modest. City Lord Feng Yunlong waved his hand. "Come, present the gift." 2 guards carried a large box and placed it on the table. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. The whole place was silent. What was the city lord up to? Commoner Chu Tian greets the city lord. Chu Tian charged out and bowed to the mayor in an exaggerated manner. "I wish Sir Mayor 1,000 years of life. I also wish that the mayor's son will recover soon and bring glory to Central State City." Puff! Someone could not help but laugh out loud. Chu Tian was trying to anger the mayor. No matter how good Feng Yunlong's acting skills were, he couldn't help twitching at this moment. He gritted his teeth and said, "Chairman Chu Tian is very thoughtful. This mayor was impulsive in the past and had a misunderstanding with your excellency. I hope that you won't take it to heart." Chu Tian laughed. "How could that be? I'm naturally annoying, so I'm often bitten by dogs when I go out. But this kind of thing happens a lot, so I just laugh it off and don't take it to heart. I just hope that the mayor doesn't dislike this commoner." Feng Yunlong's veins popped out. This was going too far. How dare he compare the city lord to a disdainful cat and dog? Chu Tian's sarcasm was very obvious, and everyone present could hear it. The mayor was pretending to be deaf and mute. That was just asking to be humiliated. Yun Tianhe saw that the mayor was about to explode, so he could only give a bitter laugh and welcome him. "Sir Mayor, please sit." "No need." The mayor was too lazy to pretend and said in a cold voice, "This mayor has a reason for coming to your Yun family. I have an urgent mission for Central State City." Everyone was stunned hearing this. The mayor took out a black token. "Take a look and see what this is." This was a token shaped like a short sword. The material of the token itself was not very rare, but there was a strong killing intent and prestige coming from it. There was a large martial word written on it. "Ruler's token." Yin Tianhe and the others were shocked. Feng Yunlong coldly said, "The calm martial ruler's order is here. Why haven't you bowed yet?" Everyone seemed like they had awoken from a dream. They quickly stood in rows and respectfully bowed down. Yin Tianhe and Xiong Wuji deeply bowed down. Chu Tian was also pulled to the side by Meng Qingwu. When he saw that Meng Qingwu's expression was not right, his heart was filled with curiosity. "What is the ruler's token?" "Lower your voice," Meng Qingwu said in a low voice. "The so-called ruler's token is the token of a ruler. In southern Xia, there are only 3 levels of nobility: marquis, ruler, and king. The marquis refers to the 8 marquises of a county. The ruler refers to the 3 rulers of Imperial City, and the highest king is the king of southern Xia." 3 rulers? Wouldn't they have a higher status than the 8 marquises? Meng Qingwu continued to explain, the three rulers of southern Xia are the burning sun ruler Nangong Yin, the calm martial ruler Dongfanggan, and the refined ruler Shangwan Songfeng. The burning sun ruler, the calm martial ruler, and the refined ruler? Even if Chu Tian was a fool, he could tell that these were the three great families of the southern summer country. It was no wonder the three great families had such a great reputation. The three rulers of southern Xia were in the hands of the three great families. The calm martial ruler was the Dongfang family's patriarch and was said to be the highest commander of the southern Xia military. He was in charge of all military matters and the movement of troops. It could be said, the calm martial ruler had the highest authority out of the three rulers and was the protector of the people of southern Xia. He had led an army of 1,000,000 to resist the spirit beast army for a long time, so the 200 million people of southern Xia could live in peace. Otherwise, once the northern battlefront was broken, there would be no eggs left intact. All of southern Xia would be in a terrible situation. This kind of important character of the kingdom had actually personally sent an order to Central State. This was truly incredible. Yin Tian's heart began to feel a bit anxious. The calm martial ruler was a ruthless and iron-blooded person. Whoever dared to disobey his orders would suffer the same fate as the three clans. Even in Central State, four great families were the same. The ruler's order could not be faked. It was impossible for Feng Yunlong to forge the calm martial ruler's order. Otherwise, even Shun Fengho would not be able to protect him. The ruler's order had arrived, and the ruler's letter had arrived. The ruler's order was just a token. The true content was the ruler's letter. Then what would the content of the calm martial ruler's letter be? This was not a normal matter. If the mayor used this chance to deal with Chu Tian, then Chu Tian would not be able to resist no matter what. The mayor loudly shouted, "Read the ruler's letter." Two civil officials respectfully stepped forward and carefully opened the purple gold box. They took out a scroll with a flood dragon drawn on it and slowly unrolled it before reading it aloud. The calm martial ruler's letter. In the south-central region of the kingdom, a strange phenomenon has occurred. There are burning demon stones falling from the sky and falling in a Thunder State's mirror, destroying a city and injuring millions of citizens. Countless demons have appeared, polluting the kingdom's soil and causing heavy casualties. Southern State and Central State are ordered to quickly send reinforcements and exterminate the demons, rescuing Thunder State. The young talents of the three countries will use this chance to gain experience and will be personally selected by the mayor. There will be no refusal or retreat. Anyone who makes a great contribution will be heavily rewarded by this ruler. This is a matter of urgency and will be carried out immediately. The slow ones will be the three great clans. Feng Yunlong respectfully sent the ruler's letter back and looked at everyone with a cold smile. The ruler's letter has already explained the situation very clearly. Do you still have any doubts? Yin Tian's heart couldn't help sinking. This is bad. Thunder State's natural disaster. Central State and Southern State were very close, so they should cooperate with Thunder State. However, the calm martial ruler wanted to use this chance to gain experience for the youths, which was exactly what Feng Yunlong wanted. Although the ruler's letter was very simple, it was serious to the point that the other states needed help. This meant that Thunder State's current situation was very bad, which meant that this mission was very dangerous. The most damning thing was that the right to choose the people had fallen into the mayor's hands. Feng Yunlong said with a smile, "Of the young talents of Central State City, Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, Yi Tianlang, and Yun Yao are the most famous. There should be 4 of them, but the first 3 are still heavily injured, so they are not suitable to participate in this mission. It just so happens that Yun Yao has broken through to the 5th awakened soul layer, so she could be the leader of the young talents of Central State." Yin Tian's face turned dark. He could not reject the ruler's letter and the ruler's order. Other than that, the main city has been talking about the new 4 young masters. The Netherworld young master Chu Tian and the Phoenix young master Nangong Yun are also popular. Meng Qingwu tightly clenched her fists. The city lord was using his position to avenge a personal grudge. Since it's like this, I won't shirk my duty. Yun Tianhe knew that trouble couldn't be avoided this time. This old man requests to be the leader of the Central State Rescue Army. The leader of the rescue team naturally needs 1 or 2 true Soul Realm experts, but old Yun is a scholar, so it's a bit inappropriate for you to go on this mission. A strange light flashed in Feng Yunlong's eyes. I have a suitable candidate. The Grand Elder of the Chu family, Chu Shi, has just returned to the city. Chu Shi's cultivation is profound, and he is known as the Blood Drinker Sword. His prestige is not inferior to Elder Yun, so I want him to lead the team. Yun Tianhe finally couldn't help it. You're deliberately making things hard for me. I disagree. If Chu Shi brought Chu Tian's group to the distant Thunder Province, would Chu Tian be able to return alive? Feng Yunlong coldly smiled and said, "This city lord is only speaking the facts. This time, Thunder State has suffered a calamity and will be in great danger. Of course, we will send a strong person to deal with it." Old Yun and Chu Shi are both true Soul Realm experts, but in terms of battle strength, I'm afraid Chu Shi is stronger. Jun Ling and Jun Shu are here. Let's see where you can run this time. Feng Yunlong's arrangement was selfish, but it was reasonable. Even if he reported it to Imperial City, there was nothing they could say. Chu Shi has just returned to Central State, so let him rest. A soft voice rang out that made everyone's bodies tremble. According to what I know, Thunder State's Golden Arrow Marquis and Southern State's Western Marquis will personally make a move. Our Central State cannot lose this lineup. This Marquis will personally lead the team. Dai, or can also use this chance to gain some experience. 2 silhouettes gently floated down. Shen Fengho had arrived with Feng Kai Dai. Feng Katie's aura was completely different from before. Feng Yunlong's face instantly sunk, because Feng Katie's cultivation had reached the 4th awakened soul layer. He never would have thought that Shen Fengho would appear again. Damn, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But with Shen Fengho appearing, the situation had become even more complicated. Shen Fengho looked at Feng Yunlong. "Do you have any other opinions?" "No, I don't dare." Feng Yunlong felt his clan brother's dissatisfaction and a trace of anger, so he quickly bowed and said, "I will follow clan brother's wishes. This matter is decided." Shen Fengho waved his hand. "Prepare the ships and gather the elite storm cavalry. We will leave tomorrow evening. We will arrive in Thunder State as soon as possible to save natural disaster." Chapter 206. This was a completely unexpected matter. No one was prepared for it at all. Even Shen Fengho had to listen to the calm martial ruler of the Southern Summer 3 rulers, not to mention the small families of Central State City. "This mission is very dangerous, and the mayor wants to use this chance to deal with you. Even if he can't get rid of you in one fell swoop, he wants to cut off our wings." The mayor had already left. Meng Qingwu's beautiful face revealed a look of deep worry. "I think Shen Fengho owes you a large favor. Is there any leeway to mediate this matter? A gentleman does not stand on a collapsing wall. There's no need to take this risk." Chu Tian revealed an evil smile. "Is the young miss worried about me?" Even so, Meng Qingwu's jade cheeks were covered in a faint blush. Her eyes were a bit evasive as she gave a soft snort. "Who told you to be the chairman? We have to follow you to make a living. Miracle commerce is at a critical point in its development. We can't afford any mistakes. Moreover, is this a plan to lure the tiger away from mountain? If you and Shen Fengho leave the main city, we will be weak in Central State." This woman really cared about Face. She was clearly worried about him, but she had to find a reason. Shen Fengho owed Chu Tian a great favor, so he could use this favor. Although the calm martial ruler was ruthless and decisive, Shen Fengho was still a large character in Southern Xia. The calm martial ruler did not need to give face to normal people, but he still needed to give face to Shen Fengho. The Southern Summer, 3 rulers and 8 marquises. The 3 rulers ruled the imperial city, and the 8 marquises ruled the states. Although the ruler title was higher than the marquis title was still very important. Opportunities are often accompanied by danger. Chu Tian's attitude was a bit strange. I'll understand at first. Did he really think Chu Tian was a fool? If the risks and rewards were not proportional, he would not be so bored as to take unnecessary risks. In reality, Chu Tian was very interested in the burning demon stone described in the monarch's letter. A burning demon stone that fell from the sky had almost destroyed an entire city, causing the deaths of millions of citizens. Countless citizens had lost their homes, and a local area was overrun with demons. What was a demon stone? Why does he have such power? Therefore, there was no harm in understanding the situation before making a decision. President Chu, Miss Feng invites you over. They should have gotten the information. Let's go take a look. Feng Kai-dai, Nangong Yun, and Yun Yao were already in a secret discussion. They were the super geniuses of the Central State that had been chosen to go to the Thunder State to participate in the training. Shun Fengho brought a batch of confidential information which was distributed along with the monarch's edict. Oh my God! 2 million casualties. About 4 to 5 million people lost their homes. After Nangongyan looked at the detailed information, she couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Jun Shu clearly didn't write it to be so serious. Feng Kai-dai shook her head. The monarch's letter is to be made public. Of course, we have to take the appropriate measures to reduce the impact and avoid any adverse consequences. However, from the information I have gathered, I'm afraid that 1/5 of the population of Thunder Province has been affected to varying degrees. It's just a demon stone from the heavens. How could it have such power? Yun Yao was also very shocked. The Calm Martial Ruler has prepared a level 2 top-grade sacred herb to reward the person with the most merit. Level 2 best grade sacred herb? It was precious even to true soul realm experts. The Calm Martial Ruler was truly worthy of being one of the 3 rulers of the Southern Summer Country. His actions were truly extraordinary. Feng Kai-dai also nodded. This is only the basic reward. If one can obtain the Calm Martial Ruler's recognition, it will be more precious than any sacred herb. That's right. The Calm Martial Ruler was the head of the 3 rulers of the Southern Summer Country. He was an extremely important minister to the Southern Summer King. So what could be more important than the Calm Martial Ruler's recognition? Even being remembered by the Calm Martial Ruler was a great fortune. This mission could be considered an opportunity. At this time, Chu Tian brought Meng Qing Wu and Chun Bingyu in. Nangongyan quickly shouted out, "Boss, quickly come and take a look. We've had a lot of fun this time." Nangong Yun wanted to see the world in chaos, so she was very interested in taking risks. Meng Qing Wu looked over the information and couldn't help feeling shocked. It was hard to imagine. Why did this kind of large-scale natural disaster suddenly erupt? This was too terrifying. If it appeared in Central State, she didn't know what her life would be like. The world was not as peaceful as she imagined. Chu Tian knit his brows in thought. Is there a detailed description of the demon stone? Shen Fengho walked into the room and revealed a faint smile to Chu Tian. There were people who saw the demon stone in the distance. It was like a meteor falling across the sky, but it was covered in green flames. It fell into a bustling city and caused heavy casualties. This was because the destruction it caused was too great, so it was hard to find any survivors who saw it from a close distance. A meteor covered in green flames. It fell right in the middle of a bustling city? Chu Tian slightly knit his brows. Shun Fengho saw Chu Tian reveal this expression, and his heart couldn't help skipping a beat. Could it be that Chu Tian knew what it was? Chu Tian's knowledge had gained the admiration of his daughter many times, which meant that he had an extraordinary cognitive ability. If he could figure out the true body of the demon stone, he wouldn't be this blind. The Calm Martial Ruler's biggest headache right now is not knowing the origin of the demon stone. Is it a natural disaster or a man-made disaster? What kind of natural disaster is it, and what kind of effects it will bring? Chu Tian nodded. After the demon stone fell, what happened to the local area? There were people who saw a monster that could spit out green flames. It had a shocking battle strength and was constantly attacking the nearby cities. Shin Fengho paused for a bit. That's right, there were also rumors that large amounts of dead citizens were coming back to life. Their bodies seemed to be heavily burned, and their eyes were filled with green flames, becoming very aggressive. With this information, can you make any speculations? There's no need to speculate. Chu Tian directly replied. It's the Abyss Demon. Everyone was stunned. Abyss Demon? This term was very unfamiliar. The world we live in is a plane formed after the Great Ancient Era shattered. The Great Ancient Era shattered and formed many different planes. These planes all follow a certain pattern in a vast, cold, and dark void world. Chu Tian paused for a bit. This endless void world is called the Abyss World. Nangong Yun and Feng Kai Dai revealed expressions of interest. They had never heard of such a thing before. Shen Fengho also felt it was very novel. Then what is the Abyss Demon? Chu Tian replied. The Abyss seems to be empty and silent, but it is actually filled with countless life forms. Many of these life forms are very ancient, even appearing before the Great Ancient Era shattered. However, the environment of the Abyss is extremely harsh and the resources are very poor. Any life form that can survive in this harsh environment is definitely very powerful and extremely cruel. Plundering and killing is their nature, and it has been ingrained into their bones over millions of years of evolution. That is why they are called demons. It wasn't that Shen Fengho didn't believe Chu Tian, but there was no proof of the plain theory, not to mention the illusory Abyss world. How can you be sure that it is an Abyss Demon? First, before it fell from the sky in the form of a meteor, there were some strange phenomena in the Thunder State. That was caused by a plane crack. Second, the area with human activity is less than a billionth of the land, yet it fell precisely in the center of a bustling city. Do you think it's such a coincidence? Nangong Yun rubbed her chin. It truly is a coincidence. Third, after the demon stone fell, it polluted a large area, causing many monsters to appear and the dead humans to be controlled. This is all caused by the demonic energy. These controlled demons are attacking the surrounding towns with a purpose, which means that there's a will controlling them. Shen Fengho's heart was filled with shock. He thought it was caused by a natural disaster. He never thought that it would be a creature he had never heard of before. If Chu Tian's words were confirmed, then it would have a large meaning. Chu Tian said this before asking, what does the calm martial ruler plan to do? The three states will split their forces into three groups. They will first take back the occupied cities and then use these places as bases to set up camps for refugees. They will also clear out the surrounding demons and seal off the worsening area, preventing it from spreading. Finally, they will gather at the center of the city and destroy the monsters in one fell swoop. This strategy seems safe, but it is actually a big mistake. Everyone's expressions changed. The calm martial ruler was the southern summer country's military god, but Chu Tian had actually destroyed the calm martial ruler's plan. If this was spread out, Chu Tian would not even be able to keep his head. When the Abyss Demon passes through the planar crack, its vitality will be greatly injured and its strength will be greatly reduced, even going into hibernation for a period of time. It needs to swallow large amounts of blood, essence, and souls to recover its strength, which is the reason why it has descended in a densely populated area. As for the demons that are sent out, it is purely to collect soul essence and help it recover its strength while stalling for time. Your meaning is, against the Abyss Demon that has crossed the planar crack, we have to finish it quickly. We can't delay it. Chu Tian paused and then said in a serious tone, if we give it another half a month, even if the calm martial ruler personally comes, he won't be able to deal with it. Shen Fengho said, there are too many demons, and if we directly attack, we will suffer quite a bit of losses. Moreover, if we go in alone and there are countless demons attacking, wouldn't we be trapped inside? There is no other choice. We can only stake it all on one throw and completely eliminate the demons. Only then can we solve this problem. Because once the Abyss Demon is killed, these small demons will collapse without attacking. Chu Tian directly said, if the calm martial ruler doesn't listen to me, then I'll just stay in Central State. I'd better stay in the Central State. I don't want to die with you. Nangong Yin said in a serious voice, if boss doesn't go, then I won't go. She had 100% trust in Chu Tian. If Chu Tian said he was going to die, then he would definitely not come back alive. Shun Fengho thought about it for a few seconds. I'll report this to the calm martial ruler. After a few hours, in southern Summer's imperial city, in a certain heavily guarded palace, a man wearing blood-red armor quickly entered the main hall and respectfully kneeled in front of the door. Reporting to the calm martial ruler, Shun Fengho has sent an urgent military report with the 1,000-mile stone. The 1,000-mile stone was a very expensive thing. Each state only had 1 or 2 pieces. Although southern Xia was a small country, it was still several tens of millions of square kilometers and only had a population of 200 million. In this era, where communication was hard to reach, anything that happened in a state would already be too late by the time it reached Imperial City. This 1,000-mile stone was used to send the most urgent military reports, like the invasion of a foreign race or the change in Thunder State. It was to let Imperial City receive the news as soon as possible. Central State using the 1,000-mile stone meant there was an urgent matter that needed to be reported. The calm martial ruler received the urgent report from Shun Fengho. After reading the contents, his brows deeply knit together, and he muttered to himself for a few seconds, Chu Tian. This common name was the first time the calm martial ruler heard it. Shun Fengho has always been calm. For him to think so highly of this young man, he must have some outstanding points. However, the calm martial ruler felt that this kind of strategy was too radical. Not knowing the enemy's situation and charging it alone would increase the risk. Ask the great scholar to come. After around 10 minutes, a white-haired old man walked into the hall. The calm martial ruler reported the situation to him. What does the great scholar think? Southern Xia's #1 scholar Gu Qinxiu pondered for a bit. I don't know who made this suggestion, but it's quite an opinion. Other worlds exist, and the abyss also exists. As for the abyss demons, this old man doesn't know. But in this old man's opinion, when we are facing something unfamiliar, it is better to believe it is true. Since the great scholar said this, the calm martial ruler did not hesitate. The strategy has changed. Send an air cavalry envoy. Bring the ruler's token to Thunder State. Several blood-clothed guards quickly left. The calm martial ruler looked over the letter again. A young man that can solve the Central State Tower's 10,000-year problem? I hope you're right, and don't disappoint me. Chapter 207. The next morning, Miracle Commerce's headquarters. Chu Tian gave Meng Qingwu several documents that he had completed overnight. There were several important projects for Miracle Commerce, such as the core technology for electromagnetic communication. The Yunsec's research could not stop. Chu Tian was not in Central State, so he had Meng Qingwu take charge. The new cloud sect was made up of over 100 elite scholars. They were mainly responsible for correcting the flaws and making up for the flaws. They collected large amounts of data, and after a series of improvements, they would finally put it into practice. Meng Qingwu had the heavenly book source spirit, so she could learn very quickly. In just a short month, with just the awakened memories from the heavenly book source spirit and the constant learning, she could not give it to a normal Yunsec scholar. She would be in charge, and Yun Tianhe would be her assistant. Chu Tian could be completely assured. Meng Qingwu revealed a depressed expression. You still decided to participate in this mission? This has nothing to do with the calm martial ruler's orders. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile. I am interested in the mission itself. More accurately speaking, I am interested in the abyss demon in Thunder State. Perhaps it has something I need on it. You don't even know how strong it is, and you dare to take this risk? Relax. I have a secret weapon in my hands. Chu Tian had a large amount of diluted spiritual god blood. Not only could it break curses, it was also very useful against demons and demons. An abyss demon that had only been here for a few days shouldn't be that strong. It wasn't the first day she knew Chu Tian. This fellow always kept his word, and since he had decided to go, she did not have the ability to stop him. Meng Qingwu was a smart woman. If she couldn't stop him, she would support him. What else do you need? I'll help you prepare it. I want some high-quality bee skins and a pole made of mithril. Chu Tian listed out a large pile of materials. Meng Qingwu could hear that this was for a raise. With Miracle Commerce's current ability, it wasn't hard to obtain these things, so she sent people to prepare them without another word. Chu Tian, Chu Tian. Meng Yingying anxiously ran into the room. I saw the announcement. Are you going to lie, Joe? Chu Tian nodded. We'll depart in the evening. Meng Yingying quickly shouted. Bring me along. Yingying. Meng Qingwu's beautiful eyes stared at her, and she sternly reprimanded. Don't cause trouble. I won't cause trouble. Meng Yingying grabbed Chu Tian's arm and shook it hard. I want to go out with you. I've never been further than the main city. Thunder Province is tens of thousands of miles away. Can't I broaden my horizons? No. Meng Qingwu was usually gentle, but when she was strict, she could be swift and decisive. Chu Tian is carrying an important mission, not going on a vacation. These 18 divine blood-eaten corpses had extraordinary battle strength. If they were used with the array that Chu Tian had invented, they could surpass a 5th Awakened Soul Layer expert. They could even fight against a 6th Awakened Soul Layer expert for a while. The young miss had the Starlight immortal body and the 18 divine blood-eaten corpses to protect her, so her personal safety was guaranteed. This mission was very urgent, but if it went according to Chu Tian's plan, it would not take long. They would be back in 7-8 days, and the 3 great families would not have the courage to make a move. Even if they did make a move, Central State City had Yun Tianhe and Xiong Wuji to look after them, so it was more than enough to last a few days. Chu Tian found Chun Bingyu in the cultivation room. Chun Bingyu had been cultivating with Chu Tian for a while, and all the flaws in her cultivation technique had been improved. Her cultivation technique had even gone up a level, and she could clearly feel her bottleneck loosen. She would be able to break through soon. Chun Bingyu was already in the peak 8th Awakened Soul Layer. It could be imagined just how strong she was. Chu Tian did not even say a word. Chun Bingyu, taking the initiative to protect Chu Tian, made Chu Tian feel very surprised. It seemed like this beauty was dead set on him. Then again, with this kind of super bodyguard by his side, even if he encountered the worst situation, it would not be a problem for him to escape. On the same day, in the evening, everyone gathered at the Central State City docks. Meng Qingwu had brought the materials Chu Tian wanted. Chu Tian could use the boat to prepare for a few days. Meng Yingying had called the underworld mercenaries to bring 100 boxes of canned food, which represented Miracle Commerce's sponsorship for this mission. The soldiers all cheered. What kind of precious thing were canned food? Central State had already gone crazy. It was simply hard to find one. The price on the underground market had been raised by 4 or 5 times, and there was still a shortage. How could normal people have a chance to taste it? With Meng Yingying's sponsorship of 100 boxes, everyone was blessed with good food, so their morale naturally rose. For this kind of disaster relief operation, speed was very important. The ruler's proclamation also said that they had to be fast and not slow. The reinforcements did not matter how good they were. Shen Fengho picked 1,500 cavalry vanguards and only brought a few days of rations. They threw away all their supplies and quickly arrived in Thunder State. This vanguard followed Chu Tian's suggestion. They ignored the other cities and headed straight for the center of the disaster area. Thunder State would gather the normal soldiers to transport the supplies and defend the rear. If the vanguard met a problem in the center of the disaster area, it would be convenient for them to support the retreat. The ships are here. 5 giant warships slowly approached the shore. This was the first time Chu Tian had seen a warship of this era up close. This ship was clearly very old and was actually made of wood. However, there were arrays engraved on the hull and sails, probably to reduce the weight, increase the speed, and strengthen the hull. The 5 warships were all similar, but the flagship was a bit larger. It was 50 meters long, 12 meters wide, and the main mast was 30 meters tall. It looked like it had a displacement of 600-700 tons. The walls separated the ship into 14 individual cabins, divided into 2 levels. The 9 lower cabins were beast cabins, specially for cavalry mounts, and the 5 upper cabins were normal cabins. Even a larger flagship could only fit around 400 people. After all, including the mounts, this was already the limit. Nangongyun asked in a puzzled voice, "Do we have to take a boat to Thunder State?" "We have to take a boat." Yin Yao explained, "Thunder State is on the northeast side of Central State. To the east of Central State is an ancient mountain range that stretches for several thousand miles, and to the north is a giant lake. It is impossible for our army to cross the Demon Beast mountain range to the east. There are probably more demon beasts there than there are people in Central State City, and the terrain is very complicated. Compared to that, the water route is much more convenient. These ships are the fastest warships in Central State." This was also Fong Katie's first time traveling, so she was very excited. The hull is made of a hard and light special wood. It is also engraved with the most advanced feather fall array, greatly reducing the weight of the hull. The sails are engraved with the wind-gathering array, so even in a windless environment, it can attract the wind to increase its speed. It can reach a speed of around 60 kilometers per hour and can reach a speed of 80 kilometers per hour at full speed. When Meng Yingying heard this, she immediately counted with her fingers. "So that means if everything goes smoothly, we can reach Thunder State in 2 days. Wow, this is really fast." This was called the most advanced warship. Chu Tian gave a helpless sigh. Shen Fengho found several guides. These guides were all very experienced captains. They had floated on the Four States Lake for 10-20 years, so they were very clear about the environment of the Four States Lake. Prepare to set off. Chu Tian's group boarded the flagship with the army. Meng Yingying's excited little face turned red. Standing on the deck, she raised her hands and shouted at the docks, "Elder sister, relax. Yingying will safely come back. Yingying will also expand the canned food business to the other states. You can rest assured and buy a few large ships to trade for the gold." Meng Qingwu watched her little sister gradually leave, and a helpless smile appeared on her face. It was becoming harder and harder to control this little girl. The Four States Lake was the largest lake in southern Xia. Because it was the opposite of the Four States, the lake was calm and there was no danger for 1,000 miles. It greatly increased the profits of the surrounding ships. After the 5 warships left Central State, they steadily traveled for 7-8 hours. Meng Yingying and Nangongyun were making a big fuss on the deck. As night fell, the two of them gradually lost interest, so they returned to the cabin and everyone gathered together to eat canned food. The two of them did not see Chu Tian, and when they asked Yin Yao, they found out that Chu Tian had locked himself up on the ship and was secretly preparing something. That fellow was always mysterious, and the two of them were already used to it. At this time, an old man ran in with a panicked expression. Marquis, I have an important matter of life and death to report." "What matter is so important?" Shen Fengho looked at the old man with a bit of surprise. This person was the guide he had found, the most experienced old captain. "We can't go straight," the old man said with a face of panic. "If we continue on this route, we will enter a dead zone. That is the graveyard of ships, a place ruled by the lake deities. It is the largest forbidden zone of the Four States Lake." Shen Fengho asked the captain of the warship, "How long will it take to go around?" "It will probably take another day." Shen Fengho knit his brows. "Have you heard of this area?" "This? I've heard of it." The captain nodded slightly. "This place seems to be the forbidden zone of the Four States Lake. It is a windless zone, and ordinary ships can't move once they enter, so it is called the graveyard of ships." This was a problem for ordinary ships. The 5 warships were very advanced, so why would they be afraid of the windless zone? The old guide knelt on the ground with a plop. "Marquis, we really can't go in. No one has ever been able to come out. Once they go in, they can never return. That is the territory of the lake deities. If we rashly trespass into the territory of the lake deities will punish us." Shen Fengho asked, "What do you mean by the lake deities?" The captain said disdainfully, "Merchants, fishermen, and ordinary troops will go around this area, because, in addition to the fact that there is no wind all year round, there is a large group of desperados in the waters. These pirates seem to be very powerful. Southern Xia has sent troops to suppress them several times, but all of them have failed. In the end, they just let it go. As for the lake deities, I think it's pure nonsense. The Four States Lake was so vast that it was like an ocean. It wasn't strange for bandits to occupy this place. This was more or less enough to scare ordinary people. How could Shun Fengho be afraid of these scoundrels? We don't have time to change our route. Shun Fengho ordered. Don't change direction. Sail straight through. The old guide sat on the ground. It's over. It's over. He was so scared that his face turned ashen and his pants were wet. Chapter 208. The sky gradually brightened, and a few stars could be seen in the pale blue sky. The surface of the lake was covered with a layer of fog, hazy as if it was covered with a silver veil. The morning glow dyed the clouds in the sky, as if it was soaked in blood, showing a faint red color. The 5 warships were moving at a steady speed. About half an hour ago, the 5 ships entered the special water area. There was really no wind at all. If the warships were not equipped with wind-gathering sails, they would not be able to move at all. Meng Yingying was holding a can of food in her hands. She yawned lazily and went to the deck to get some fresh air. She took a deep breath of the cold air. Through the thin fog, she could vaguely see the outline of the island in front of her. Wow, there are so many ships, Meng Yingying exclaimed. A large number of old ships were anchored on the calm lake. Some were merchant ships, some were civilian ships, and some were military ships. They were of different sizes and shapes. Some of them were quite old. Even the ironwood hulls had begun to rot. It was estimated that they had been abandoned for hundreds of years. How did these ships come here? They were probably blown here by a storm, or they might have mistakenly entered this place, or they might have been captured by bandits. In short, ordinary large ships couldn't sail out of the windless area. In the end, all of them were rotting in the water. However, the number was too much. Just from what she could see, there were more than 100 ships. How many abandoned ships were there in this area? From the front, the sound of a horn could be heard. Meng Yingying rubbed her eyes hard, widening her eyes to take a look. When her line of sight passed through the thin fog, she saw 7 or 8 huge black warships neatly lined up in a row, slowly surrounding the warship. These black ships seemed to have a special power device, so they could move normally in the windless area like the warships. Dang! The warship's alarm was sounded. There's a situation. The soldiers rushed out of the cabin. One by one, the cavalry crossbows were arranged in a row. Giant crossbow carts were pushed out. They were ready for battle. As a most advanced warship in southern Xia, the equipment on the warship is certainly not bad. In addition to the ballistae displayed on the deck, there were shooting windows on both sides of the hull. Each ship was equipped with more than 60 heavy-duty ballistae, and the heavy-duty ballistae used were 2 meters long. The bodies of the ballistae were made of high-energy crystals, and their range could reach more than 2,000 meters. This kind of fake arrow was very expensive. Instead of relying on its powerful penetrative power to kill the enemy, it directly activated the energy crystal and destroyed the enemy with a terrifying explosion. An ordinary medium-sized ship could be sunk with just 1 or 2 arrows. Ha ha ha! How dare you! It's been many years since anyone dared to barge into the lake god's territory. Since you dare come in, then have a taste of our giant shark gang's strength. Chu Tian sensed that something was amiss outside, so out of curiosity, he walked to the deck to take a look. Nangong Yin and Meng Yingying were both surprised and happy. Chu Tian, you came at the right time. We've encountered pirates. Pirates? Chu Tian looked at the 10 giant black ships in front of him. This scale is too big. There are 2,000–3,000 pirates here. This Marquis never thought. Shun Fengho's terrifying spirit energy began to gather in his body as he calmly said, "My southern summer country actually has this kind of power." Shun Fengho's voice was not loud, but reached the other side's ears. The giant shark gang had sent out 10 ships. Although they were not as big as the warships, the decks were filled with people, adding up to 2,000–3,000 people. These people were all wearing strange clothes, looking fierce and barbaric, just like uncivilized barbarians. Go. Their ships are not bad. We'll treat it as offering it to the lake god. Everyone go. Don't damage the ships. A horn sounded from the pirate ships. Several hundred pirates with weapons on their backs and hooks in their hands jumped onto the deck like dumplings. Everyone was stunned. Why did they jump into the water? Each one of them was wearing such heavy equipment. A scene that made everyone dumbfounded occurred. The pirates did not sink into the water. Rather, their feet stepped on the surface of the lake. The calm surface of the lake was suddenly filled with waves. They stepped on the blue waves like they were surfing, quickly surrounding the warships. This is a bit interesting. They really are cultivating a strange cultivation technique. Chu Tian knew that the pirates could step on the waves because of a certain cultivation technique. This giant shark gang really did have a good inheritance. Kill. The pirates aggressively stepped on the waves as they tried to hook onto the warships. In the end, the pirates did not even have time to approach before the 5 warships released a rain of arrows. I've been hit. Quickly protect me. What the pirates encountered was Central State City's most elite army. How were they like the motley crew that they normally plundered? They were instantly shot down. Damn! For the lake god! For the giant shark gang! The pirates roared out, and quite a few of them released their source spirits. Their source spirits were all in the shape of giant sharks, increasing their speed by several times. They blocked the arrows and quickly charged forward. These pirates' cultivations were not weak. This was because the ones who could release their source spirits were all in the peak 9th awakened soul layer. These pirates all had 60 to 70% awakened soul realm cultivation, and there was one expert in the peak 9th awakened soul layer in every 10 of them. At this moment, a surge of elemental energy, as vast as the sea, erupted. Shun Fengho suddenly jumped into the air from the deck. With several leaps, he traveled several thousand meters in the blink of an eye. The sharp sound of breaking through the air seemed like it could tear space itself apart. Wherever Shun Fengho flew, even the mirror like water was quickly split apart. The pirates all lost their balance and fell into the water. Shun Fengho's arms slashed through the air, and an incomparably large blue wind blade flew out from his hands. Like a boomerang, it cut out a trajectory. Pa 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 pa. 10 crisp cracking sounds rang out. The masts of the pirate ships were cut off one by one. At this time, Shun Fengho's power filled the sky, and the surrounding lake water seemed like it was being sucked in by a blue dragon. Giant tornadoes that were 30-40 meters wide and over 100 meters tall instantly formed. The thick masts smashed onto the deck, and the pirates were smashed to the ground. Before they could even react, the pirate ship was blown away by the strong wind that came with it, causing it to sway left and right. This is bad. Quickly retreat. Quickly retreat. The Divine Wind Marquis speed was just too fast. He first cut off the masts of the 10 ships, and then instantly condensed a giant tornado with boundless destructive might. No, the storm is coming. Quickly, abandon the ship and jump into the water. The mighty tornado hit the first ship, and the terrifying strength flipped it over. It then hit the second ship and flipped over without any accidents. The third ship, the fourth ship, the 10th ship. An entire 10 ships were flipped over in just a few seconds. Countless people cried out pitifully as they were thrown into the sky, falling into the water like rain. There was no wind on the surface of the lake. The waves surged, and the scene was a complete mess. Meng Yingying was stunned. Those ships are at least several dozen tons in weight, and the Marquis has flipped them all over in an instant. What kind of strength is this? The other generals were also astonished. Even a strong, illustrious Soul Realm expert would only be able to create a large hole with a full-force attack. However, Shun Fengho had used his own strength to flip over 10 ships that weighed several dozen tons. What kind of strength was this? This god was indeed the number 1 person in Central State. That terrifying storm was still raging. Even if they were this far away, Chu Tian's group could still feel the surging waves. Finally, wherever the blue storm passed, all the ships were dismembered. They were broken into countless pieces, and the pirates were forced to flee. Meng Ying said, "It seems like these fellows are going to drown." Chu Tian gave a slight nod, but before he could say anything, he suddenly noticed a strange phenomenon. Several ships had been torn to pieces, and countless pieces of wood were still floating on the water. Logically speaking, a person in the water would instinctively look for something to float on, especially in this kind of turbulent environment. Chu Tian was very surprised. The pirates did not grab onto anything to survive. Rather, they all jumped into the water. The people on the ships also threw away their weapons and jumped into the water. The pirates that fell into the water all disappeared without a trace. There were several thousand people. They had all jumped into the water and disappeared. The blood that flowed out from the dead pirates was actually a blue-purple color, completely different from normal people's blood. Shen Fengho also noticed this strange phenomenon, so he gradually stopped the storm. However, before he could take a closer look, a terrifying roar came from the front. "Which expert dares to mess with my giant shark gang's territory? Aren't you afraid of angering the lake gods?" A sound wave rolled out. It was deep and resonant, almost covering the sound of the waves. Chun Bingyu was not interested, but she opened her eyes at this moment, and a trace of confusion flashed in her eyes. "There is a true soul expert among these pirates. It can't be." Everyone else was shocked. There were only a few true soul experts in Central State. If they really were true soul experts, why would they be willing to be pirates? No matter where they went in southern Xia, they would be respected by tens of thousands of people. A strong man stepped on the waves, carrying a trident on his back. His hair was thick and messy, his face was covered in a beard, and his chest was open. It was covered in blue tattoos, and he was dressed like a barbarian. "Fifth Master. Fifth Master is here to save us." The moment the true soul expert arrived, the pirates that had disappeared began to pop their heads out of the water. These fellows had not drowned, but they were all hiding in the water. Nan Gongyin revealed a look of shock. "I thought they had all drowned. I never thought that they would still be alive. But why haven't they come out to breathe for so long?" Feng Kai-dai also knit her brows. Could it be that the giant shark gang cultivates the turtle breathing technique? That's why they haven't breathed for a long time. It's not their cultivation technique, it's the pirates themselves that have a problem. Chu Tian finally saw some clues, and his lips curled into a smile. No wonder they could be so arrogant in the Four States Lake for so many years without being exterminated. It seems like things have become interesting now. "Nangong, help me prepare some things. I need to verify a few things. If it's like I think, then these fellows are very valuable." Chapter 209. Wherever the large bearded man went, the waves would surge. If one looked carefully, they would find that the large bearded man was standing on a giant shark. The shark was completely made of water energy, so it was extremely fast in the water. The 10 large ships were already scrapped, and over 1,000 members fell into the water with heavy casualties. The large bearded man had a dark expression as he looked up. There was an elegant green-robed middle-aged man standing on a small tornado. His long sleeves fluttered in the wind as he floated in the air. He was like a powerful god, but he could not see through his strength at all. Although he didn't know who he was, he knew that he was not a normal person. "Your Excellency has trespassed into the lake god's forbidden area and injured many of our disciples," the large bearded man coldly said. "Are you not planning on giving the giant shark gang an explanation?" "Explanation?" Shen Fengho gave a calm smile. Wind surged in all directions, and the might of the heavens shook everyone. The Four States Lake is under the control of the Southern Summer King, so this marquis has nothing to say about you establishing a gang here. However, you've been plundering merchant caravans all year round, even going ashore to kill and pillage. Do you really think there is no one left in Southern Summer? You are one of the Southern Summer 8 marquises. To be able to control the wind, you must be Central State's Shen Fengho. The large bearded man was completely stunned. Shen Fengho was a famous character in Southern Summer. The large bearded man did not have any intent to fight. The giant shark in the water suddenly turned around, creating a giant wave as it quickly escaped. Fifth Master. The giant shark gang members were all stunned. The Fifth Master's divine skills were unrivaled, but he was running without even fighting? Since you're here, then stay and drink a cup of tea with this marquis. Shun Fengho instantly caught up and stood in front of the large bearded man. His right hand turned into a giant blue hand that reached out to grab the large bearded man. I'll stake it all with you. The large bearded man pulled out his trident and released the power of his source spirit, but he did not have time to attack. Shun Fengho broke the trident with a single palm from afar, and the violent force sent the large bearded man flying several dozen meters, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blue and purple blood. Shun Fengho stood with his hands behind his back, as if he was at ease. Seventh awakened soul layer, but you've only just reached the true soul realm? How dare you look down on me? The large bearded man gave an angry roar and released his source spirit, which was a giant silver shark. The large bearded man's hands moved, and the giant silver shark's source spirit entered the lake, pouring all of the large bearded man's spirit energy into the lake. The surrounding waters began to boil. Several hundred sharks broke out of the water. Each one was 3-4 meters long, and their bodies were made of water energy. They were like tens of thousands of arrows flying out, flying in the air like they had wings. Each one was filled with a fierce strength that could swallow an awakened soul cultivator with a single bite. I'll show you the power that the lake god has bestowed upon us. Countless sharks ferociously pounced towards Shun Fengho. Shun Fengho revealed a look of surprise. He had not expected this big, bearded man to be stronger than he had imagined. With just this move, a normal True Soul Realm expert would not be able to block it. But dealing with an expert on the level of one of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises, the difference was too great. Wind and Cloud Sword Song. Countless sword chi wind blades appeared around Shun Fengho, falling down like a storm. Each giant shark was hit 2-3 times and instantly exploded, turning into water droplets. It's not over yet. The large bearded man angrily roared, "Lake God, give me strength." The countless droplets of water stopped in the air and condensed into a giant shark. This giant shark was made of energy, but it was like a living being. That thick silver-white skin had lines that could be seen as it angrily charged at Shun Fengho. Shun Fengho flicked his finger. A giant sword chi swept out. The giant shark, with a terrifying momentum, was cut in half, and the large bearded man was hit by the shockwave. He bounced off the water like he was skipping, instantly flying several dozen meters away. So strong, truly worthy of being one of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. The giant shark gang will remember this grudge. Just wait for me. The large bearded man wanted to dive into the water, trying to escape through the lake. How could it be that easy? Shun Fengho threw a small tornado into the lake, and the entire lake was stirred up, forming a giant whirlpool. Several dozen meters of the lake was sucked into the air, including the large bearded man's figure. Shun Fengho grabbed out, and the large bearded man was sucked out. Finally, he was choked by Shun Fengho. "Let me go." The large bearded man was a true soul realm expert, but in Shun Fengho's hands, he was like a helpless little chicken. Shun Fengho pointed at the large bearded man a few times, using his spirit energy to seal the large bearded man's cultivation. This person's cultivation and strength were not weak, so he was definitely a top-level leader. Capturing him alive was more useful. The fifth master has been captured. This is bad. Quickly tell the other masters. The pirates all cried out in alarm. They all jumped into the lake and disappeared in a short while. Shun Fengho had no interest in these small fries. He flew into the air and returned to the ship, throwing the large bearded man onto the deck. The others were all deeply shocked. Everyone already knew that Shun Fengho's cultivation was very high and his strength was very strong, but they never thought he would be this terrifying. This battle had opened everyone's eyes. The large bearded man revealed a look of fear. "If you dare harm a single hair on me, The giant shark gang will not let you off. Are the southern summer 8 marquises that amazing? If you disturb Big Brother and Second Brother, you won't be able to bear the consequences. The large bearded man was a true soul realm expert, but he had just reached the 7th awakened soul layer. So not to mention comparing him to Shun Feng Ho, he was even weaker than Shun Bingyu. But from his words, could it be that there was someone stronger than him in the giant shark gang? Nan Gong Yun couldn't help asking, then what do you mean Big Brother and Second Brother are stronger than you? Nonsense. The large bearded man seemed very confident. Of the 100,000 members of the giant shark gang, I am only ranked 5th. Big Brother, Second Brother, Third Brother, and Fourth Brother are all above me. You've invaded the lake god's forbidden area and injured the lake god's servant. Once the lake god becomes angry, you can only wait to die. 100,000 members. There were at least 5 true soul realm experts. Nangong Yun and the others were all stunned. Shun Fengho knit his brows, and his eyes revealed a bit of displeasure. This fellow was still this arrogant after being captured. He probably wouldn't cooperate with the interrogation, so he might as well kill him with a single palm. But thinking about it, what if this fellow wasn't lying? If the giant shark gang really had 100,000 members and at least 5 true soul realm experts, it would be an incomparably large sect. Shun Fengho was not afraid of them. The problem was that he had a mission to complete and did not have time to waste here. If there was a conflict with the giant shark gang, it would not be easy to escape from these annoying fellows. Pung pung. Several explosions came from the bottom of the warships. Several soldiers shouted in panic. Marquis, this is bad. The bottom of the ship has been broken. Our ship is about to sink. What? This warship was the fastest and most advanced in southern Xia. If the bottom of the ship was broken and the warship sank, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not to mention how the 1,000 soldiers would escape. Central State would fail the ruler's orders, which was a very serious matter. Marquis, there are many monsters in front of us. Everyone looked into the distance and saw several incomparably large tortoises slowly swimming across the lake. Each tortoise had over 100 people on its back, and there were even large crossbows prepared. A thin middle-aged man held a saber and angrily shouted, "Let go of Fifth Brother, otherwise you'll all be buried in the stomachs of the fish." The surrounding water began to flow faster. Let go of the Fifth Master. Let go of the Fifth Master. Several thousand giant shark gang members revealed their heads and raised their weapons as they shouted, "Let them taste the anger of the lake god. It's over, it's over." Meng Yingying's face turned white. Why are there so many pirates? We've poked the hornet's nest. Ha 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 ha. The large bearded man began to laugh. This is the result of offending the lake god. Seeking death. Shun Fengho's eyes flashed with a cold, killing intent. No one had ever dared to threaten him like this before. Since it was like this, he would kill 1 to warn 100. Marquis, please wait. Chu Tian walked in front of Shun Fengho and stopped Shun Fengho from killing the 5th master. The most important thing right now is to repel the pirates. Let me take care of this person. Shun Fengho's cultivation was deep and immeasurable. Even if the giant shark gang's leaders came, they might not be able to beat him. However, this was the giant shark gang's territory. How could they fight as they pleased? The giant shark gang said they had over 100,000 people. From the current situation, it was very likely this was true. These fellows seemed to be very proficient in water and could control water-type demon beasts. Digging into the bottom of the boat and using all kinds of sneak attacks, no one could do anything about it. Shun Fengho was not here to suppress the pirates, so if he caused a lot of trouble, he would not be able to finish the rest of the journey. These pirates would definitely cause trouble for him. Wouldn't it be a big problem? The calm martial ruler's anger was not small. All right, I'll leave it to you. Shun Fengho knew that Chu Tian had many tricks up his sleeves and was anxious to repel the pirates, so he did not care about the 5th master. Chun Bingyu, give me a hand. Chun Bingyu had a bit of friendship with Shun Fengho, so she did not reject him. Without saying a word, she jumped into the lake. In that instant, a cold energy was released. The surface of the lake froze, and the pirates that were destroying the boat were frozen in time. The divine wind marquis also made his move, filling the sky with wind blades and wind blades. With these two experts working together, these pirates were not a problem. Chu Tian walked in front of the large bearded gang leader. Let us have a chat now. Brat, who do you think you are? Do you have the qualifications to talk to father? The large bearded man angrily glared at Chu Tian. If you have the skills, then kill father. My 100,000 brothers will take revenge for me. You're already a captive, and you're still this arrogant. Nangong Yun charged forward and kicked him. I think this fellow needs a beating. Let me beat him up. I've never beaten a true soul realm cultivator before. Nangong, don't cause trouble. Chu Tian waved his hand at Nangong Yun. Have you prepared the things I wanted you to prepare? Nangong Yin placed a large bucket of lake water in front of Chu Tian. Strange. What do you want me to do with this water? Chu Tian lifted the fifth master up and shoved his head into the bucket. What are you doing? Chu Tian said to the others. Come and see for yourselves. Meng Yingying was the first to come over, and she couldn't help being shocked. This is bad. There are gills behind his ears. Everyone did not believe it, but when they saw it, they were all stunned by this strange scene. Behind the large bearded man's ears, there really were gills that were opening and closing as they breathed. How could gills grow on a human's body? Monsters! These fellows are not humans at all. The soldiers all felt a trace of fear in their hearts. Lake God, there really is a lake god. The old guide that Shen Fengho invited trembled in fear as he muttered. These people are the lake god's servants, so they have this kind of ability. We've caused a great disaster. The lake god will definitely be enraged. Chapter 210. When Chu Tian lifted the large bearded man out of the bucket, the gill slits behind the large bearded man's ears slowly disappeared. Everyone was shocked. Why did they have this kind of ability? This was definitely not the effect of a cultivation technique. I thought it was very strange. The pirates could hide underwater for this long, and they could even dive into our boat without us noticing. Nangong Yun's eyes popped out as she shouted at the large bearded man. Quickly tell me, what kind of demons are you? Tell us the truth right now. Demons? Ignorant fools. The large bearded man gave a few loud laughs and said with a proud face, This is an innate gift from the lake gods. How could these mortals understand? In these waters, there is no one that dares to go against the giant shark gang. Even the Southern Summer Kingdom can't do anything to us, so you'll have to pay the price for provoking the giant shark gang. After saying this, he revealed a look of disdain. If you want to kill them, do as you please. These pirates were like fish in the water of the Four States Lake. Even if the Southern Summer Kingdom sent an army, it would be hard to catch them all. Once the giant shark gang retaliated, the Four States Lake would not be able to travel, which would be a large loss to the Southern Summer Kingdom. A gift from the lake gods? While everyone was feeling troubled, only Chu Tian said with a taunting face, From what I see, it's not an innate gift. It's more suitable to call a curse. Curse? The lake god's curse. The large bearded man's face turned red as he angrily shouted, You dare insult the great lake gods. Stop pretending. What lake gods? Something that doesn't exist. Chu Tian seemed like he had already seen through everything. You only opened a hidden treasure at the bottom of the lake and obtained an ancient inheritance. However, what you didn't expect was that after obtaining this hidden treasure, you would have to pay such a high price. Am I right? Nonsense. The large bearded man angrily shouted. The giant shark gang has obtained the lake god's blessing and now has over 100,000 members. The several thousand miles of the Four States Lake are all our territory. That's right. You've obtained the sea race's ability and can breathe underwater. The large Four States Lake is yours to roam. But once you leave the Four States Lake, can you still be as free as you are now? Chu Tian did not give the large bearded man a chance to speak and directly cut him off. The giant shark gang has over 100,000 members and many true soul experts. Even in southern Xia, they are considered a first-rate power. But after all these years, the giant shark gang has been robbing the Four States Lake for a living, not daring to come ashore to steal territory. so they don't have much influence. Can you tell me why? The fifth sect master spat. Of course you won't say that it's because the giant shark gang can't leave the Four States Lake for a long time, right? Meng Yingying was like a curious baby, her face full of doubt. Why can't they live on the surface? Because the giant shark gang opened the sea race's inheritance treasure. They obtained the sea race's inheritance. How could humans accept the inheritance of the sea race? So, forcefully taking the inheritance will result in a mutation and they will be cursed by the ruins. As long as they leave the Four States Lake for a while, they will wither and die. Other than that, they will become more dependent on this power and their bodies will gradually change. For example, gills will appear, scales will grow, and webbing will appear on their hands and feet. They will slowly turn from humans into the sea race, finally being rejected by their bodies and dying. The large bearded man went from disdain to anger, and finally to being completely stunned. Why? This was the giant shark gang's secret. How did this brat know? It was very strange and simply an unbelievable matter. But from the large bearded man's expression, could it be true? Could there really be such a strange ruin? Of course there was. Chu Tian had seen it many times in the ancient book. When he understood the giant shark gang's power and scale, Chu Tian felt it was very strange. These sects clearly had great strength. So why didn't Shun Fengho understand them? Did he say they were indifferent to fame and wealth and were above the mortal world? Then how could they be thieves, killing and pillaging, harming the people? With this kind of power and scale, what was wrong with doing other things? Then, Chu Tian saw Shun Fengho knock the giant shark gang members into the water. They were actually able to swim through the water like fish, and with the special blue and purple blood, Chu Tian was sure that their bodies had undergone some kind of mutation. In this era, the old civilization and the old civilization were all over the place. Ancient ruins were everywhere. Chu Tian's guess was 80% to 90% accurate, and this experiment with a large bearded man was to verify his guess. When he saw the gills on the large bearded man's body, which was a typical characteristic of the sea race, Chu Tian was 100% sure. Who are you? Who I am isn't important. Chu Tian said to the large bearded man. The important thing is that I can help you get rid of this curse. Impossible. The large bearded man's body trembled as he revealed a face of disbelief. Then he angrily roared, "It's been 20 years. No one can escape. Don't think you can trick me like this." Large bearded man, you're in luck. Meng Yingying walked over and said, Chu Tian is the founder of Miracle Commerce. So if he says he can do it, then he can. Miracle Commerce is Chu Tian? Miracle Commerce did not have a shipping business. So many merchants saw this business opportunity. They bought large amounts of Miracle Commerce's goods and transported them to other states to sell at high price. Several of the ships were intercepted by the giant shark gang, and one of them was even done by the large bearded man, so he had a bit of understanding towards Miracle Commerce. This was clearly a little brat who hadn't even grown hair, but he was actually the founder of Miracle Commerce? But so what if he was the founder of Miracle Commerce? The giant shark gang benefited from the inheritance, but they were also restricted by it. This inheritance made them stronger, but it also made them lose their freedom. There were gains and losses, so there was no way around it. You don't believe me? Chu Tian took out a light red liquid from the large gourd storage space. Nangong, feed it to him. Nangong Yin opened the large bearded man's mouth and poured the light red liquid into the large bearded man's mouth. The large bearded man's body curled up like a shrimp as he painfully twitched on the ground. Large amounts of light red blood appeared on the surface of his body. Hot, hot, so hot. Damn, what did you give me to drink? The large bearded man could clearly feel that his originally cold blood, under the influence of this strange medicine, it was slowly becoming warm again. The power that was deep in his blood was slowly disappearing. How is this possible? Chu Tian ordered. Cut open his hand and see what happens. Nangong Yin pulled out her dagger and cut the big bearded man's palm. Blood dripped into the wooden barrel, and the color of the blood was no longer a strange purplish blue, but a purplish red. There was not much difference between the blood of a normal human. The large bearded man stared at the blood in a daze and did not come back to his senses for a long time. In the 20 years since the giant shark gang was established, no one had ever escaped this curse. This young man took out a strange medicine. It actually removed most of the curse's power. You still have the ability to breathe underwater. Chu Tian revealed a pained expression. That was a diluted spiritual god's blood that he did not even have time to use. This medicine has already removed all restrictions. From now on, you are free. The large bearded man was completely stunned. He was finally convinced. If this person could remove the restrictions on the giant shark gang and give freedom to the 100,000 members of the giant shark gang, then he would truly be the giant shark gang's parent. The large bearded man kneeled down. "Mister, save us." Chu Tian softly said, "Have your people leave." "Yes, yes." The large bearded man took out a cornet and forcefully blew it a few times. There were hundreds of people around him, and each person was hiding in the water with gills growing out of their ears. Fifth Master, don't panic. We're here to save you. All of you scram for me." The large bearded man anxiously roared out. The giant shark gang had been tortured for 20 years, and now a savior had appeared. If they didn't hold on to him, would they ever have another chance? Quickly inform the headmaster to welcome the guests. The giant shark gang members were all stunned. Guests? The giant shark gang never allowed outsiders to enter the water because that was an offense to the Great Lake gods. The current fifth master's actions were very strange. The large bearded man angrily roared, "Are you all deaf? Why aren't you scramming back?" "Yes, yes." The giant shark gang members all sank into the water, and the several thousand members all left. Shen Fengho and Chun Bingyu were very surprised. When they defeated the skinny middle-aged man and returned to the deck, they saw the large bearded man respectfully standing in front of Chu Tian and sincerely saying, "I ask Mister to help the giant shark gang." In just a few minutes, this fellow had already changed. "I can indeed help you restrain the corrosion of the sea race bloodline." Chu Tian paused for a bit before saying, "However, this will not be a small price for me. Tell me, why do you think I should help you?" "That's right," Meng Yingying said from the side. "These people are definitely bad people. We have no obligation to help a group of villains. Otherwise, if they return to normal, it's unknown how many people will suffer." Shen Fengho also coldly said, "The giant shark gang has committed many crimes over the years. Once Thunder State's matter is over, this marquee will unite the 4 states to destroy them. How can we allow them to continue being so rampant?" The large bearded man quickly said, "We have no choice. Marquis, there's no need to be anxious." Chu Tian confirmed the giant shark gang's inheritance, so he naturally understood what was going on with them. He said to the large bearded man, "How about this? I'll personally go to your base and discuss the conditions. What do you think?" "Of course you can." Brother Chu, Feng Kaidai, stood up. "These pirates are extremely evil. You are sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth." Shen Fengho did not recommend Chu Tian take this risk. "Chun Bingyu will protect you, and you will be responsible for supporting us from the outside." Chu Tian said in a confident voice, "Relax. I can take care of this matter." There were too many members of the giant shark gang. If they did not think of a way to deal with them, it would be hard for them to pass through. Shen Fengho saw that Chu Tian was calm, as if he already had a card up his sleeve, so he did not stop him. With Shen Fengho personally threatening them, they would not dare do anything. Chu Tian brought Chun Bingyu and the captive old Fifth Yu, riding a small boat to the giant shark gang's headquarters. Chapter 211. There was a large archipelago in the center of the 4 states lake. The archipelago was not that big, and it was like a torn piece of paper. It was thrown into the water in a disorderly manner, covering an area of over 100 miles. The largest island was around the same size as Central State City. Because it was shaped like a skull, it was named Skull Island. Skull Island was the core headquarters of the giant shark gang. Chu Tian, Chun Bingyu, and Old Fifth were sitting in a small boat, slowly moving through the archipelago. Every island had traces of human activity, such as simple and crude constructions, dried fish, prawns, crabs, and other food. Although the giant shark gang was strong, they did not have any source of income. Adding in a large number of people, their days were tight. It was a good thing that the Four States Lake was rich in seafood, so a trivial 100,000 people wouldn't die. The gang relied on seafood to survive, and if they couldn't, they would rob merchant ships to earn some extra money, barely managing to survive. The small boat arrived at Skull Island. Old Fifth U personally jumped into the water because the giant shark gang did not have a dock. He used his bare hands to pull the boat to shore. "You too, please come with me." Chu Tian walked in front with Chun Bingyu behind him. The two of them first saw a giant gate made of white stone, and behind the gate was a stone-paved path that led to the middle of the island. There was a small square where a few huge and majestic statues of the lake god stood. Over the years, the giant shark gang had been very xenophobic. No one had ever entered the archipelago, not to mention the core Skull Island. So, when Chu Tian came, he immediately attracted the attention of the people on the island. They all raised their weapons and surrounded him. "The fifth master is back. I was wondering why the fifth master was captured." "Fifth sect master. Are these two people the sacrificial offerings for the lake god?" The giant shark gang members were dressed very strangely. They used shark skin to make boots, vests, and hats. Their clothes were all tattered, making them look like fishermen who had escaped to an island. Chun Bingyu was a bit confused seeing this. Although they had extraordinary strength, they lived like beggars. This was very rare in southern Xia. Among the gang members, there were old people, women, and even children. The giant shark gang had only been around 20 years ago, so it was impossible for them to reach this level. Most of the members had joined later. As for how they joined, there was no need to guess. When the giant shark gang attacked the ships and villages, they would always take away the people along with the goods. The reason why the giant shark gang liked to take captives was to prevent them from complaining and also to increase the giant shark gang's population. These captives would forcefully strengthen the whale gang's inheritance, bestowing them with the sea race's innate talent and bloodline. They would also be bound by the curse, unable to leave the Four States Lake. In the end, he had no choice but to join the giant shark gang. Escape? That was impossible. Once the giant shark gang members came ashore, they would wither for a day or two before dying. "Scram! Get lost!" Old Fifth U dismissed the crowd that was watching and then brought Chu Tian to the middle of the mountain. They walked into a damp cave. This cave was where the true high-level members of the giant shark gang lived, and only branch lords and above had the qualifications to enter. "Old Five, why did you come back?" A skinny middle-aged man holding two blades was healing inside. When he saw Old Fifth U return, he immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise. "Those damn people from the Central State let you go? They didn't do anything to you, right?" Old Fifth U cupped his hands. "Many thanks for Fourth Brother's help. I'm fine." Old Fifth U did not even finish before a hoarse and strict voice came from the dark cave. "How could you bring an outsider here? Have you forgotten the rules?" Chu Tian looked in the direction of the abyss. In the depths of the dark and damp cave, there was a natural pool that suddenly rippled. A stooped figure slowly rose from the water. His entire body was wet and dripping with water. A frightening and cold aura suddenly filled the entire cave, making people shudder. "Big brother, please listen to my explanation." Old Fifth U respectfully cupped his hands. "This Central State person can break the curse on us for many years." "Bold! Old Fifth, you dare slander the lake gods." A burly man with gray hair walked out and roared furiously. "Do you know what you're doing?" Old Fifth U anxiously said, "Second brother, I didn't." "Lake gods? Ha 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 ha." Chu Tian was too lazy to listen to his brother's argument. He immediately laughed a few times, and his clear and melodious voice echoed in the cave. "In order to rule this archipelago, to rule your 100,000 gang members, you made up a so-called lake god for people to worship? The most laughable thing is that the person who made up this lie has even tricked himself. How could there be a lake god? The giant shark gang was just a special sect. The giant shark gang wanted to better control the sect, so they made up a mysterious lake god. It was to control the minds of the gang members, making them believe in the existence of the lake god and make them work for them. Otherwise, this kind of restriction was hard to understand, and it was hard to find a reasonable explanation. The gray-haired man angrily said, "Insulting the lake gods, seeking death. We should take him as a sacrifice to the lake gods. Insulting the lake gods, die. Kill him." The surrounding giant shark gang high-level members were filled with rage as a sharp and terrifying killing intent shrouded them. Chun Bingyu's brows knit together. The cave was too dark and there was no light, so she couldn't see clearly. However, from the aura and killing intent, the giant shark gang had quite a few experts, which far surpassed her imagination. Chu Tian's expression did not change as he calmly said, "If my guesses aren't wrong, the sea race's treasure you obtained was an ancient altar used to strengthen the sea race's bloodline. The sea race used sacrificial offerings on the altar to stimulate the hidden potential of their bloodline. This is a secret treasure of a certain kind of sea race, but you guys are ignorant enough to occupy it and use it to increase your own strength. However, you do not know that a human body can withstand the sea race's sacrifice. If you forcefully make this sacrifice, it will cause a mutation in your human bloodline, slowly turning you into the sea race. The gills are only the first changes. Once this mutation begins, there is no way to stop it. You will not be able to leave the water, and you will not be able to stop the sacrifice. Otherwise, in less than a day, your body will crack and you will die from weakness. Of course, you can continue to make sacrifices to keep the sea race's bloodline active. Doing this will make the sea race's bloodline stronger and stronger. Your bodies will also have more and more characteristics of a sea race. You will become a monster that is neither human nor fish. When your human bloodline cannot suppress your foreign bloodline, you will die from the rejection of your bloodline. Whether you give up the sacrifice or continue the sacrifice, the result will be death. Am I right?" These words were powerful and resounded throughout the cave. It caused the giant shark gang's arrogance to drop, and everyone turned silent. "Ku. The white-haired old man standing in the pool slowly stood up and said in a cold and hoarse voice, "Who is your excellency?" "I don't dare. This one is Chu Tian." The white-haired old man was very tall, but he was now very thin. He was wearing an ancient fisherman mask, and he was holding a fish-bone staff in his hand. Chu Tian did not even finish speaking. The white-haired old man gently flicked his finger, and a drop of water flew at Chu Tian. So fast, Chu Tian did not have time to dodge before the drop of water landed in front of him. It instantly bloomed and turned into a giant ball of water that wrapped around Chu Tian. A strong force lifted Chu Tian into the air. This ball of water looked thin, but it was actually very strong. With Chu Tian's current cultivation base, he could not break it. The white-haired old man's strange blue eyes released a terrifying killing intent. "You think that with Shin Feng Ho backing you, you can act recklessly in my giant shark gang? Even if Shin Feng Ho personally came, this old man would still fight him. Not to mention a little brat like you." Chun Bingyu's eyes revealed a fierce look. Her right palm released a terrifying cold chi as it chopped at the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man shot out another drop of water at Chun Bingyu. Chun Bingyu knit his brows and released a white light that instantly froze the drop of water. Humph! The white-haired old man gave a cold snort. The ice bead began to shatter, and a strong energy burst out, instantly filling every corner of the cave, making it hard for the others to stand. The faces of the giant shark gang's high-level members fell. This woman's cultivation base was very high. Although it was a bit lacking compared to the leader, it was not below the second leader. Chun Bingyu was forced back several steps, and her face slightly sunk. This old monster was stronger than she imagined. She was not his match. The white-haired old man was also shocked. This woman was not old, and her cultivation base was only a bit weaker than his. Adding in the fact that one of the 8 marquises, Shan Feng Ho, was eyeing him like a tiger. The people that came to the giant shark gang this time were not simple. Old Fifth You was afraid that something would happen. Big brother, stop. You can't kill him. Chu Tian was locked in the water prison. Although he could not move, he did not panic at all because the white-haired old man did not have any killing intent. The giant shark gang's boss Yu is truly strong. Even Chun Bing Yu is slightly inferior to him. Chu Tian spoke in a leisurely manner, as if he wasn't a prisoner at all. However, you've received the deepest inheritance from the sea race. If I haven't guessed wrong, your body has already started to mutate. Your feet have grown webs, your body has grown fish scales, and even the bones in your body have changed. The giant shark gang members were all stunned. The leader had not taken off his mask in many years, and he was usually dressed up. Could his body have really changed? The white-haired old man was silent. I'm sure that you won't live past half a year, Chu Tian loudly shouted. But if you die, then you die. Do you want to drag the entire giant shark gang and the brothers that fought with you to the grave? Or do you want to see your brothers who have gone through fire and water with you turn into monsters like you? The white-haired old man's body trembled. Big brother, Old Fifth You quickly walked forward. Mr. Chu Tian is really here to help us. The curse on my body has already been completely removed. If you don't believe me, you could take a look. The white-haired old man suddenly grabbed Old Fifth You's wrist. That pair of strange blue eyes became more and more serious. It was followed by shock and amazement before finally revealing a look of wild joy. Was it really removed? Chapter 2:12. Boss Yu couldn't help slightly trembling. This was simply unbelievable. It was like a dream. Boss Yu was the biggest beneficiary of the treasure. It allowed a normal awakened soul cultivator to reach the 9th awakened soul layer without any resources. If they fought in the water, even if it was a super expert on the level of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises, Boss Yu was confident he could fight them. Boss Yu was also the biggest victim of the treasure. Because he had been corroded by the curse, Boss Yu's condition was much worse than the normal gang members. He had not stepped on land for 5 years, and even on Skull Island, he had been soaking in the pool all day. Otherwise, his body would quickly wither, and he would be in danger in around 10 hours. The most terrifying thing was that Boss Yu's body had changed. His temperament and habits had all been affected. Not only had he become like a human or a ghost, he had been subjected to unimaginable, cruel torture. He could only be maintained with large amounts of painkillers, and the speed of the change was increasing. Perhaps his life would be in danger soon. Boss Yu did not have any hope. Who would have thought that a miracle would happen at this time? Boss Yu held Old Fifth's hand. You're really free. Old Fifth Yu's eyes were filled with tears as he forcefully nodded. This mister really has a way. The water prison instantly shattered, and Chu Tian regained his freedom, falling back to the ground. Shen Yinyu wanted to help him up, but Chu Tian waved his hand, indicating that he was fine. The white-haired old man's blue eyes stared at him. You can really help us? Chu Tian revealed a confident smile. This kind of mutation is caused by a special curse. I just happen to have a method that can break any kind of curse, even one that goes deep into one's blood and bones. Although I don't dare say that no one on the continent besides me can break it. In a place like Southern Xia, you won't be able to find a second one. The 5 you brothers revealed looks of disbelief. The white-haired old man's breathing became rushed, and he shouted in a hoarse voice, Mister's Grace, please save the giant shark gang. There is no free lunch in this world. It's just like how you coveted the sea race's power and suffered the backlash of the sea race. Chu Tian's eyes turned sharp as he looked over the high-level members of the giant shark gang. He said with an expressionless face, I can break your bloodline curse, but I will have to pay a high price. I have no relationship with you, so I have no obligation to save you. What he meant was, you want me to save you? Not bad. Show some sincerity first. The white-haired old man was silent for a few seconds before saying in a hoarse voice, the giant shark gang is poor and has no money. The giant shark gang's 100,000 members are our wealth. Chu Tian directly said, you want me to save you? Sure. But I want the giant shark gang to work for me. As soon as these words came out, everyone was enraged. Greed is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Aren't you afraid of choking? The Giant Shark Gang had developed for over 20 years and finally had over 100,000 members. There were 5 true Soul Realm experts and several illustrious Soul Realm experts, with 8-9 of them reaching the peak of the illustrious Soul Realm. This brat wanted to swallow such a strong force in one gulp. That was simply a dream. Not to mention whether he had the ability or not, the Giant Shark Gang would not agree. The Giant Shark Gang was still a gang and a different kind of sect. They had their own teachings and inheritances, so they still had their basic dignity. Even if you remove the restriction, we will fall into a new restriction. Don't you think your request is a bit too high? The white-haired old man said in a low voice. The Giant Shark Gang has its own pride. We will not serve anyone. That's right. This brat has wild ambitions. He clearly wants to swallow our Giant Shark Gang. Even if our Giant Shark Gang can't move freely on land, we can at least move freely on the Four States Lake. Why should we become a pawn for a brat? In the end, it was because Chu Tian was too young. The Giant Shark Gang had as many experts as clouds, so how could they submit to him? The Giant Shark Gang members were filled with indignation, but they did not find it strange at all. Gangs and sects cared about seniority. Now that a young brat had come and wanted the Giant Shark Gang to submit to him, wasn't this just a fantasy? Don't be in such a hurry to refuse. Chu Tian revealed a calm smile. First, listen to what I have to say. Boss, you said in a hoarse voice, no matter what conditions you add, the Giant Shark Gang will not become a tool. You work for me, but you don't have to be loyal to me. Chu Tian emphasized, we have a cooperative relationship, not a subordinate relationship. Do you understand what I'm saying? Chu Tian knew his own limits. Miracle Commerce did not have the ability to swallow the Giant Shark Gang. The gray-haired second old you asked, don't try to change the concept. Is there a difference between the two? You're making a huge mistake by thinking like this. Chu Tian said to second old you in a sharp voice, a cooperative relationship is a parallel relationship, so there is no superior or inferior relationship. The Giant Shark Gang will work for Miracle Commerce, so the Giant Shark Gang will receive a proper reward. That's all. How could there be anything else? Third old you asked, then what can your Miracle Commerce give us? Chu Tian looked right into third old you's eyes. That depends on what you lack the most. Money. Reputation. The Giant Shark Gang members looked at each other in blank dismay. The Giant Shark Gang was indeed very poor, and they had always been pirates. This was not something that could be easily changed. Miracle Commerce will directly invest 100 million gold coins into the Giant Shark Gang. Opening with 100 million gold coins, this kind of rich and overbearing attitude was enough to shock the normal gang members. Fourth old you said in a dissatisfied voice, the Giant Shark Gang has 100,000 people. 100 million gold coins is not enough. That's right. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. Then 200 million gold coins. Everyone was silent. This brat was too rich. Still not enough? Then 400 million. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. This brat did not even blink and had actually doubled it. With the Giant Shark Gang's current situation, 400 million gold coins is enough to solve our urgent problems. Chu Tian finally said, but as long as you are willing to cooperate with me, I am willing to represent Miracle Commerce and invest 1 billion gold coins into the Giant Shark Gang in half a year. What? Increase it to 1 billion. Even if it was the Central State, 4 great families, this would be the sum of several years of income. The Whale Gang was knocked dizzy by the Golden Club. Bossy was also deeply shaken. Are you serious? Father has money. Chu Tian said in a confident voice, if I can say I can do it. We can find Shinfeng Ho to notarize a contract. If Miracle Commerce doesn't give us enough gold coins in half a year, it will be considered an alliance with Miracle Commerce. The Giant Shark Gang will regain their independence, and the initial fee will be considered as a breach of contract. This was just a group of bandits. Their main source of income came from robbing merchant ships and occasionally robbing villages and towns. How much income could they make? The resources they obtained not only needed to be used as sacrifices, but they also needed to satisfy their own needs, so they were very tight on money. 1 billion gold coins. This was enough to make the giant shark gang lose their way. If Miracle Commerce could do it, then 95% of the middle and lower class members would not have any objections. Miracle Commerce is not only investing 1 billion gold coins into the giant shark gang. We will also help the giant shark gang transform and provide you with a suitable way to make a living. Of course, we will need 50% of the giant shark gang's shares. We will only receive dividends in the future, but we will not interfere with the management. In terms of internal affairs, you will be completely independent. Good brat. This giant was treating the giant shark gang as an investment. Could the giant shark gang really create this much value? Wasn't he afraid that this large investment would be wasted? Finally, if you're willing to work in Miracle Commerce, we will give you a suitable annual salary. Chu Tian paused before saying, I promise that a true soul realm cultivator's annual salary will not be lower than 50 million gold coins. The giant shark gang was knocked unconscious once again. Each of Chu Tian's words seemed to be repeating a message. Father has money. Father has money, so follow Father, and you will be able to eat well. From the expressions of these country bumpkins, Chu Tian knew that he had completely fooled them. Actually, Miracle Commerce's finances were a bit tight, and they couldn't take out 1 billion gold coins. But Miracle Commerce was currently in a rapid growth stage, so they had to brace themselves to buy this power. This was a very meaningful and valuable investment. The giant shark gang itself was very strong. This was a very strong force. Just the giant shark gang increasing Miracle Commerce's power was not something that could be measured with 1 billion gold coins. The most important thing was that the giant shark gang had a large advantage in the water. The 4 states lake and the 4 states were opposite, and they could follow the rivers to reach different cities. Once Miracle Commerce controlled the 4 states lake, they would control a large transportation network. Meng Qingwu already had plans to buy several fleets, but it seemed like instead of buying fleets, it was better to directly invest in the giant shark gang. This was an opportunity for the giant shark gang. First, Chu Tian could solve their curse, which was the biggest chip that the giant shark gang could not resist. Secondly, with 1 billion gold coins, the giant shark gang could escape poverty. Moreover, a company that could casually take out 1 billion gold coins was not normal. This person also had a close relationship with a top-notch official like Shen Fengho, so the giant shark gang needed this kind of power to transform. Their brothers' lives were too poor. Perhaps they really needed to improve. I've already said what I wanted to say. Chu Tian casually turned around and walked out. Chen Bingyu followed behind him. I'll give you a bit of time to consider it. I'll be back in a few days, and I hope you can give me a definite answer at that time. Chu Tian left. He swaggered out of the cave. No one from the giant shark gang stopped him because they were all deep in thought. Looking at the back of this brat leaving, everyone was speechless for a long time. This person was so young, but he gave off an unfathomable feeling. Big brother, we've already attracted Shen Fengho's attention. Old Fifth, you said with a serious expression. If we don't quickly turn around, Shen Fengho will not let us go. Shen Fengho was just passing by this time and did not come to suppress the giant shark gang. However, the giant shark gang had already offended Shen Fengho, so perhaps Shen Fengho would not allow them to continue expanding in the 4 states lake. The giant shark gang did not want to have a conflict with the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. Not to mention that Old Yu's cultivation was a level lower than Shen Fengho's. So what if he could beat Shen Fengho? Shen Fengho was one of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. If he came out and united the 4 states to suppress the bandits, there would be at least 4 Marquises. Could the giant shark gang escape? If they alerted the 3 rulers, it would be a disaster. Old Yu ordered, Old Fifth will follow their fleet and see what they are doing. Old Fourth will bring a few people to Central State and investigate Miracle Commerce's background. We'll first see if this power is worth cooperating with. This matter was very important, so it was better to be cautious. Chapter 213. The 5 warships had just finished repairing. Chu Tian is back. Meng Yingying raised her head and saw that Chu Tian had returned. She happily waved her little hand. Chu Tian, did you really go to the pirate's nest? What was it like inside? Was it fun? Everyone was speechless. This Meng Yingying was a fellow with no sense of humor. Chu Tian entering the giant shark gang's nest was a risky move. Nan Gongyin quickly asked, "How did your discussion go?" "It's in the bag." Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile and then said to Yingying, "Just wait and see. Your canned food will soon be sold throughout half of southern Xia and even all of southern Xia." Shen Fengho's eyes flashed. He knew what this meant. This brat had only gone in for a while. Could he have already reached an agreement with these fierce pirates? If it was like this, then it was a good thing. Otherwise, Shen Fengho would not allow the giant shark gang to continue causing trouble and would think of a way to eliminate all the pirates. "I have an urgent mission, so it's inconvenient to stay here any longer," Chu Tian said to Shen Fengho. "The pirates will not bother us anymore, so let's head to Thunder State as fast as we can." Shen Fengho nodded. "Let's head out immediately." The 5 warships began to move again. They swaggered through the calm waters, sailing across the misty lake. Other than encountering the giant shark gang, they were occasionally attacked by water demon beasts, but they didn't encounter any other big problems. On the evening of the next day, the warships arrived at Thunder State's docks. The reason why Thunder State was called Thunder State was because it had a special environment. There was a lot of rain and thunder, with meteors falling and the weather changing. According to Chu Tian's guess, the space above Thunder State was not very stable, which was one of the reasons for the planar crack. Everyone disembarked. The deck of the warship opened, and the elite cavalry landed on the warhorses. Central State City's most elite cavalry troops generally had 80 to 90% body refinement realm strength. Their warhorses were level 1 high-quality demon beasts called Azure Gale Colts. They had a single horn on their heads, and their bodies were covered in green scales. Not only did they have strong endurance and explosive strength, they could also shoot wind blades to attack their enemies. This was a special mount used by the elite cavalry of southern Xia. It could borrow the power of the wind attribute to accelerate. Its normal speed could easily reach 300 kilometers per hour, and it could even exceed 400 kilometers per hour at full power. At such a high speed, ordinary people would find it difficult to even breathe, let alone wield their weapons and fight. Thus, the Storm Cavalry's standards were very strict. At the very least, they had to be at the 7th level of body refinement and be proficient in a set of spear techniques. Even if they had to travel thousands of miles a day, they would still be able to quickly enter battle. This was a well-deserved team with super high mobility. The 1,000 cavalry came ashore and lined up in a row. As fast as lightning, they charged out. Meng Yingying had also received a storm horse. She was in high spirits as she sat on the back of the horse. She used her whip to point at the tall city in front of her and excitedly shouted, Chu Tian, I can see Thunder State's main city." Thunder State's main city was the same as Central State's main city. It was built on the 4 sides of the lake, making it convenient for shipping. At this moment, Thunder State City was shrouded in a heavy atmosphere. All of the city gates were tightly closed, and the city walls were filled with Thunder State City's army. The ground outside was filled with holes, as if there had been several fierce battles. The farms on the outskirts of the city had been destroyed. The fields, medicine fields, and fruit forests had all been contaminated by some kind of power. All of the crops had withered and died. This was truly a heavy loss. The people of Central State were shocked. Could it be that even the main city had been affected? The severity of this disaster was even higher than what they had imagined. When everyone arrived at the bottom of Thunder State City, they saw that the ground was filled with scars. The majestic city walls were also damaged. A few soldiers wearing Southern Xia's armor were currently moving corpses out and piling them up in large pits that had been dug outside of the city. There were a total of 6 pits. Every pit had 3,000 to 4,000 corpses piled up, like a small hill. Everyone was completely shocked. When had they ever seen such a terrifying scene before? Especially Feng Kai-dai, Meng Yingying, and the other pure people. This was too terrifying. He had never seen a person being thrown to the ground like trash. The countless broken limbs piled up and twisted like a devil's painting. The smell of sulfur filled the air. It was accompanied by a strong, burnt smell. It made their stomachs churn, and they almost vomit on the spot. Meng Yingying was completely shocked. Are these the victims? They should be. Chu Tian looked at the corpses. Each one was seriously withered and had sunken eyes. Their bodies were burnt black like they had been burned by some kind of technique. The little fox stared at the corpses with interest. It forcefully took a deep breath, as if it could feel the dark, attributed energy it liked. When the abyss demon passes through the plane crack, it will bring a large amount of abyss aura with it. These should be the citizens that have been contaminated by the abyss energy and have been controlled by the abyss demon. They should be demon soldiers under the control of the demon. Feng Kai-Dai revealed an unbearable expression. There should be large amounts of demonized humans in Thunder State right now. Chu Tian, can you think of a way to save them? After all, they seem to be innocent victims. Only a sudden disaster caused them to become like this. Directly slaughtering them is too cruel. That's right. Meng Yingying also anxiously said to Chu Tian, you have great abilities. Think of a way to help them. You have to understand that the demonization of living beings is irreversible. Even if there is a way, it is not something we can do with the resources we have right now. Chu Tian gave a bitter laugh. Each demonized being's body has been distorted, their minds have been shattered, and their souls have been deeply contaminated. In a certain sense, they have already become demons. The best way to deal with demonized beings is to purify them from their roots, freeing them from this endless pain. The Thunder State soldiers had already filled the pits with fuel and ignited the thousands of corpses. Meng Yingying and Feng Kai-Dai looked at the 6 giant pits of fire in silence for a long time. This kind of cruel scene was something they did not dare believe before. Don't be sad. Chu Tian patted Meng Yingying's shoulder. Didn't we come to Thunder State to help them? Meng Yingying nodded. She once again recognized the importance of strength. Shinfeng Ho, you're too slow. The city gates opened at this time, and 2 middle-aged men came out. Their auras were very strong, not inferior to Shinfeng Ho's. They should be 2 of the 8 southern summer marquises. One of them was clad in golden armor. His skin was dark and rough, and he was dressed like a general. He exuded a decisive and capable aura, and there was a longbow in the shape of a dragon hanging on his back. His aura was as sharp as an arrow. Feng Kai-Dai said in a low voice, this person must be the Golden Arrow Marquis. The other was a middle-aged man with gray sideburns, looking around 50 years old. He had a square face, a high nose, and an extraordinary appearance. He was wearing a dark gold robe made of an unknown material, and his right hand was holding a black spear, so he should be the Western Marquis. The Golden Arrow Marquis said, Brother Feng, Brother Shangguan, this Jiang thanks the 2 of you for saving Thunder State. Please come in. What? The Western Marquis is from the Shangguan family. Why are we so unlucky? Chu Tian had a depressed expression, and the others were also helpless. They hoped that the Western Marquis did not know what happened in Central State. Thunder State City was a bustling main city, just like Central State City. However, because of the crisis, all of Thunder State City's doors were closed and only a few shops were open. There were very few people on the streets, and there were only soldiers patrolling. The cavalry was stationed on the outskirts of the city. Meng Yingying led the mercenaries to move the canned food to reward the army. The others entered the Golden Arrow Marquis Palace and saw 6 youths waiting in the main hall. Of the 6 youths, 3 were from Thunder State and 3 were from Southern State. Thunder State's geniuses were the Golden Arrow Marquis, Jiang Xiong's successor Jiang Shan, the Thunder State General's son Lin Pejuan, and Thunder State's descendant Lin Chang'e. Southern State's geniuses were the Western Marquis, Shangguan Hong's successor, Shangguan Feichen. The other 2 were called Wei Long and Wu Yang, both super geniuses of Southern State's large families. Jiang Shan and Shangguan Feichen were both in the 5th Awakened Soul Layer. Lin Pejuan, Lin Chang'e, Wei Long, and Wu Yang, they were all experts in the peak 4th Awakened Soul Layer. The Golden Arrow Marquis, Jiang Xiong, gave a few loud laughs. Central State is filled with talents, and the four young masters have become famous. Among them is the genius Chu Xinghe, with his unparalleled sharpness. Why is he not here this time? Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, and Yi Tianlang are all injured, so they cannot participate in this mission. Shun Fengho introduced Central State's Purple Lightning Young Master, Yin Yao, is leading the team. Yin Yao did not dare be negligent. This one's Yin Yao greets the two marquises. These are Feng Kai Dai, Nangong Yun, and Chu Tian. Chu Tian. Shangwan Hong's eyes flashed. What? A voice rang out. I was wondering why the people from Central State this time were so bad. It turns out Chu Xinghe is not here. I still want to compete with the geniuses of Central State. This was a man wearing a vest that revealed a thick arm. His skin was red, and his name was Wu Yang, one of the geniuses brought by the Western Marquis. This person was in the peak fourth awakened soul layer, and his style was similar to Central State's Luo Xianglong. Moreover, his strength was not below Luo Xianglong's, so he was indeed a top talent. Yin Yao's face sunk. This fellow was clearly provoking them. Nangong Yun had a fiery temper. You dare say we can't? Is that not the case? Wu Yang said with a cold smile. Then why don't we compete if you're not convinced? Nangong Yun rolled up her sleeves and pulled out a giant hammer from behind her. Come, let's compete. Shen Fengho knit his brows. Don't be rude. Don't forget our mission. The Western Marquis, Shangwan Hong, said with a smile. Shen Fengho, young people have a strong spirit and are eager to win. Otherwise, how can they be improved? The commercial ruler arranged for the young people to come to Thunder State to gain experience, so they wouldn't be blinded by a single leaf and not know the immensity of heaven and earth. It's rare for geniuses to meet, so why don't we have a little competition? Shangwan Feichen proposed. I agree with my father, but if one's cultivation base is too high, it will be hard to control it and cause unnecessary casualties. Why don't we invite the weakest among us to come out and have a spar? That's fine. The Western Marquis, Shangwan Hong, did not give them any time to object. Wei Long, you specialize in defense, and attack power is not your specialty. I ask you to come out and compete with Central State's Chu Tian. Chu Tian. Everyone understood when they heard this. After all this time, this fellow was here to cause trouble for Chu Tian. Chapter 214. The Western Marquis, Shangwan Hong, most likely knew about what had happened in Central State City. Shangwan Ming had been ruthlessly taught a lesson by Chu Tian and in front of several thousand people. Even his balls had been crushed. This was a member of the Shangwan family. Even if they were worthless, even if they were vile, how could they be taught a lesson by an outsider? A monkey that crawled out from who knows where dared to piss on a tiger's head? Currently, there wasn't much movement from King City, mainly because Shangwan Ming was in the wrong. As the special envoy that King City had sent to the Central State, he had to carry out a secret mission. Exposing his identity and running to the Central State's main city was definitely a blatant violation of King City's orders. What was even more wrong was that he actually coveted the Central State's hidden treasure and used the name of King City's special envoy to forcefully rob it. This was a huge taboo. The Shangwan family had sealed off the news, and there were not many people in Imperial City that knew about this. If this matter was made too big, it would attract attention and damage the Shangwan family's reputation, so it would be difficult for them to take revenge. Not to mention that Shun Fengho had mediated the matter. They had to give face to the Southern Summer 8 marquises, so this matter was left unsettled. The Western Marquis, Shangwan Hong, was an important branch of the family, although he did not have much contact with Shangwan Ming. As a member of the Shangwan family, he had a very strong sense of honor. This brat Chu Tian dared to disregard the Shangwan family's prestige, so how could they let him off easily? It would have been fine if they hadn't met. Since they had bumped into each other, they could not let him off easily. Shangwan Hong did not believe that the divine Wind Marquis would fall out with him, one of the 8 marquises, for a junior. At this moment, a burly man walked out. He was like a silent, small mountain lying in front of Chu Tian, giving people a strong sense of oppression. Wei Long and Wu Yang were both super geniuses of large families in southern state, but Wei Long was a bit weaker in comparison. Shangguan Feichen deliberately played with words. Most people had a misconception that a person with a strong defense would have a weak offense. This was not the case at all. Wei Long was a defensive expert, but with his strong defense, it did not stop him from having a strong destructive might. These two did not contradict each other. The southern state's Wei clan's several hundred-year-old, mountain-moving secret art was not inferior to the Chu family's soul sword secret art in the southern summer country. It was said that when cultivated to the peak, it would have the power to move mountains and fill the sea to suppress demons. It was a powerful cultivation technique that could not be blocked by 10,000 people. Shangguan Feichen said with a faint smile, Wei Long is the third-ranked genius of southern state. Wei Long didn't say much. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he coldly stared at Chu Tian. In a low and muffled voice, he said, "Do you dare to compete?" Wei Long's skin was dark, and he had a large stature. He wasn't the slightest bit inferior to Wu Yang, but compared to the fierce and violent Wu Yang, Wei Long was like a solid boulder, giving off an unshakable feeling. Shun Fenghe was a little hesitant. Chu Tian should be able to win. Wei Long was only a bit stronger than Central State's Luo Xianglong. Chu Tian could defeat Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianling alone without paying a large price. This meant that Chu Tian's strength had far surpassed this level. It all depended on whether he was willing to fight or not. Chu Tian gave Nan Gongyin a look. Nan Gongyin had been with Chu Tian for a long time, so she had a telepathic feeling. She could know what he meant from his eyes. She looked at Wei Long with a faint smile and said, "Big guy, are you sure you want to challenge the weakest of us?" Of course. After Wei Long finished speaking, he probably felt that it was a little inappropriate. So he added, "Start from the weakest." "All right, wait a moment. I'll go get someone." Nan Gongyin directly left the Marquis mansion. Chu Tian explained with a smile, "Since you want to fight the weakest, we'll just call the weakest person over. First defeat the weakest of us, and then it won't be too late to challenge me, the second weakest." "Chu Tian, what did you call me over for?" After a few minutes, a young and beautiful green-clothed girl came in. She looked to be around 15 or 16 years old and had a childish look on her face. She said in a complaining voice, "I'm giving canned food to the soldiers of the 3 states. Don't you know I'm very busy?" This big guy is the third-ranked genius of Southern State. Chu Tian pointed at Meng Yingying and said, "Our little girl is called Meng Yingying. She comes from a small family in a small Central State city. I'm afraid she can't even enter the top 100. Wei Long felt insulted. "What do you mean?" Central State's Chu Tian doesn't even have the courage to fight and instead sent a little girl to her death. Shangguan Feichen said in a disdainful voice, "If this were to spread, would damage the face of Central State. Little girl, I think you're not bad. How about you follow this prince? It's better than this heartless person." Hey! Although Meng Yingying didn't understand the situation, she would not allow anyone to insult Chu Tian. That was simply insulting her. "What do you want to do?" Chu Tian said to the confused Meng Yingying. "This big guy wants to test your defense. How about you play with him? You should have said so earlier. Then let's do it." Meng Yingying still had the proficient level Starlight Immortal Body. In terms of fighting strength, she couldn't compare to normal people, but in terms of defense, even a 4th Awakened Soul Layer cultivator wouldn't be able to break it. "Did I hear wrong?" Wu Yang broke out in laughter. "You actually want to compete with Wei Long in defense? Just a weak little girl like you? If you can't do it, then give up. I'm ashamed for you. Damn, you dare look down on me." Meng Yingying was instantly enraged. She directly activated the Starlight Immortal Body, and starlight seeped out from her body. Her originally crystal-like jade skin suddenly became transparent, reflecting a brilliant diamond-like luster. Countless mist-like spirit energy condensed above her head, finally forming a mirror-shaped source spirit. "You want to challenge Chu Tian?" Then you'll have to pass this trial first. Wei Long gave a cold snort, and a mountain-like aura was released from his body. After the spirit energy condensed, it turned into a majestic mountain. On the surface of Wei Long's body, large amounts of hard stone quickly appeared. Mountain source spirit? No wonder it had such a strong defense. A trivial peak triple awakened soul little girl. How could she compare to a famous super genius like Wei Long? Wei Long gave an angry roar, and his right arm was covered in stone armor. It instantly expanded by 6-7 times, as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. The mountain source spirit not only had a mountain-like defense, it could also condense a mountain-like strength. Wei Long was not a person who had tender feelings for the fair sex. If this little girl wanted to die, then he would kill her first. That Chu Tian had to be dealt with. This was a task given by the successor and most likely the Western Marquis orders. If he could beautifully complete this task, perhaps he would be rewarded by the Western Marquis. The Southern Summer 8 Marquises were not like Shan Fengho, who did not care about fame and fortune. Whether it was Thunder State's Golden Arrow Marquis or Southern State's Western Marquis, they were not just the protectors of the state, they were also the masters of the main city. Their military and political power were all concentrated. So in Thunder State and Southern State, half of the resources were monopolized by the Marquis family. There was only one super family, and the other large families had to give them face. The two Marquis successors had already broken through to the 5th awakened soul layer, which was much higher than Chu Xinghe's cultivation base. Of course, having a higher cultivation base than Chu Xinghe did not mean he was stronger than Chu Xinghe. Chu Xinghe's innate talent was very rare, and he had obtained an ancient sword cultivation inheritance. With his peak 4th awakened soul layer cultivation, even if he fought with these two successors, his chances of winning were very high. Roar! Wei Long gave a wild, angry roar. The rock armor covering his right arm began to crystallize. It was like a layer of black crystal that was filled with an earthy yellow, profound rune glow. Landslide fist. As the name implied, once this fist technique was used, it was like a landslide, incomparably overbearing. It was hard to imagine. If a normal awakened soul cultivator was hit by this fist, they would instantly be turned into meat paste. Nangong Yun's face slightly sunk. She never would have thought that Wei Long would be this strong. If she knew this earlier, she would have personally gone up. Even Meng Yingying, who had the diamond body, would be injured by this punch. This bastard was too ruthless, even using such a heavy hand on a little girl. Meng Yingying was not in a hurry as she activated her magic mirror source spirit. The mountain source spirit was reflected and gradually materialized. Meng Yingying suddenly felt a strong energy enter her body. The nature of her spirit energy suddenly changed, becoming thick and firm. "Watch me!" Meng Yingying gave a delicate shout, and a layer of rock quickly appeared on the surface of her body, duplicating a source spirit. Shan Fengho, the Golden Arrow Marquis, and the Western Marquis were all stunned. This girl that no one cared about actually had this kind of rare innate talent. No, it's not just a right arm. The martial art is also duplicated. When Meng Yingying raised her right hand, a layer of crystal-like substance appeared on her slender white wrist. When this fist was sent out, it was also like a landslide. Landslide fist. How could she know the landslide fist? This was the Wei family's secret technique. Wei Long's face turned dark and terrifying. So what if she learned it? It was just an empty form, go die. Whether it was the size, strength, momentum, or speed of the two fists, they were all completely out of proportion, but they still collided with each other. Meng Yingying's starlight immortal body was not weak, and she had duplicated most of Wei Long's mountain source spirit. The moment the two fists collided, the rock armor formed by Meng Yingying's mountain source spirit began to shatter from her right hand. When the black rock shattered, a diamond-like luster appeared on her skin, perfectly blocking the power of the landslide. Double defense. She was using double defense at the same time. Wei Long's power was reflected back, and Meng Yingying's power also fell onto his body. The thick rock on his body shattered, and the bones in his right hand released a series of popping sounds. He spat out a mouthful of blood into the sky and crashed through a wall of the Marquee Palace, falling onto the street outside and fainting. How is this possible? Everyone had expressions like they had seen a ghost. Chu Tian was shocked. How could this be? Even if the starlight immortal body could reflect a certain amount of damage, it shouldn't be this strong. The little fox bared its teeth, looking like it had already expected this. Meng Yingying looked at her fist in a daze and stupidly said, "God, my fist is this strong." She suddenly thought of something and took out an old bronze mirror from her chest. The light on the surface of the mirror dimmed, as if some kind of power had been used. "I know, this mirror has been used." Meng Yingying excitedly raised the little mirror. "This mirror can increase the power of reflection. Thank you, little fox, for giving me such a good gift." The little fox pouted and pretended to wave its hand, indicating it was nothing. No one thought it would be this kind of result. Chu Tian took out Meng Yingying. He didn't expect Meng Yingying to win against Wei Long. The best result would be a draw with Wei Long, with no one being able to do anything to the other. Who would have thought that Meng Yingying would almost cripple Wei Long with a single punch? This kind of shocking result was something no one could have expected, especially the fellows from Southern State. They all had livid expressions. Wei Long was the third-ranked genius of Southern State. Not only was this little girl at the peak of triple awakened soul, she didn't even have a bit of fame. She was just a nameless person. A famous genius of Southern State had been crippled by a nameless girl from Central State. Where would the face of the Southern State people go? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.